At 8:17 on the night of my 68th birthday, my family sent me a photograph of the party they said had been canceled. It appeared in a group chat called The Calders, the old one with all 6 of us in it. Rachel had created a newer version sometime that year, though I didn't know that yet. In the photograph, Elaine was leaning over a white bakery box, touching a match to the number 8. My daughter stood behind her with one hand on Paul's shoulder. Paul was laughing at something Adrian had said. Dana held 2 plates and had her eyes closed. The cake said, "Happy 68th, Martin." My chair was against the wall. I stared long enough to notice the drink cart parked where my chair normally sat, long enough to count 6 wine glasses for 5 people, long enough to see the corner of the blue birthday card Elaine had told me she hadn't had time to buy. Under the picture, Dana had written, "Proof." Paul stayed the whole night. Then the photograph disappeared. A second message flashed up. "Wrong chat." That disappeared too. I set my fork beside the slice of coconut cream pie I had bought for myself and typed, "I'm glad Paul stayed. I wish someone had trusted me with the choice." 3 dots appeared, vanished, appeared again. No one answered. The movie kept playing across the room. Walter Matthau was yelling at somebody who deserved it. I turned the volume down. Earlier that afternoon, Elaine had stood in our kitchen with her purse on her shoulder and told me not to change out of my work shirt. "There's no sense dressing up now," she'd said. I looked down at the blue chambray shirt. "This is dressed up. You wore that to clean the gutters. I wore an older blue shirt to clean the gutters. They're identical. One has paint on the elbow. They both have paint on the elbow. That's how I know which one is older." She smiled despite herself, then lost it quickly, as if she had remembered what kind of evening she was preparing us for. Our dinner was supposed to be at Rachel and Dana's house at 6:30. Rachel had texted that morning, asking whether I still preferred chocolate icing over vanilla. At 2, Elaine got what she called an upsetting call from Paul. By 2:15, dinner had been postponed because Paul was sick. Rachel was overwhelmed, and Dana had already started using the phrase, "no big deal." "It's 1 week," Elaine said. "We'll do it next Saturday. Is Paul all right? He says it's some stomach thing." "What kind of stomach thing?" "The kind that happens in the stomach, Martin. That rules out his ankle." She gave me a look. I poured coffee into the mug she had left beside the sink. "Do you want me to call him?" "No, it came out too fast." Elaine busied herself with the clasp on her purse. She was 66 and still had the thick dark hair people remembered from when we were young, though silver had started at her temples and moved inward with no respect for subtlety. She claimed she didn't care. She also spent 20 minutes every 6 weeks explaining to her hairdresser exactly how much she didn't care. "Rachel needs me to come over," she said. "For Paul's stomach? For everything. He and Adrian are in the same room for the first time in 3 weeks. Rachel's wound up. And Dana, well, you know Dana. I knew Dana was usually the least wound up person in any room. At Christmas, she had watched Paul and Rachel argue over our mother's stuffing recipe, eaten 2 helpings of each version, and told them both they were brave. I put Elaine's coffee in front of her. "I thought Paul was staying home sick. He changed his mind. About being sick, about going to Rachel's, but dinner is canceled. There is no dinner, Martin. People can be in the same house without it becoming an event." I looked at her. She looked at the coffee. "All right," I said. Her shoulders dropped a little, and that was the detail I remembered later. Relief. Not disappointment that I wasn't coming. Relief that I hadn't made it difficult. She kissed my cheek near my ear. "I won't be late. Tell Paul happy birthday." She pulled back. "From me," I said, "since apparently he's getting my evening. That isn't funny." It was a little funny. No, it wasn't. The front door closed harder than it needed to. I stood in the kitchen holding her untouched coffee. On the counter was the envelope from my sister in Ohio, a coupon from the hardware store, and a birthday card from my dentist with a cartoon tooth wearing a party hat. The tooth had received more notice than I had, but in fairness, the tooth probably didn't ask follow-up questions. At 5, I called the diner on Route 9 and ordered meatloaf, mashed potatoes, green beans, and 1 slice of coconut cream pie. The young woman taking the order asked if I wanted a candle. "No, thank you. We do it free for birthdays." "How did you know it was my birthday? You said the pie was for your birthday." "I don't believe I did." There was a pause. "Sir," you said, "I suppose I'll have the coconut pie, seeing as it's my birthday." That does sound like something I'd say. "So, candle?" "No candle. Got it. 1 sad pie." "I didn't say sad. You don't have to. She hung up before I could defend the pie. I picked it up myself. The waitress had put a candle in the bag anyway, one of those thin striped ones that break if you look at them too firmly. She had also written, "Happy Birthday, Marty," on the styrofoam lid. Nobody called me Marty, not even people who disliked me. I ate at the small table in the den instead of the dining room. The dining room table had 2 leaves in it because Elaine insisted we leave it ready for family, although the last time all 6 of us had eaten, there was Easter. Paul had arrived late and Adrian had left early. Rachel had brought serving spoons because she believed we owned only one. Dana had quietly returned 3 serving spoons to our drawer before leaving. At 7:12, Elaine texted, "Paul's doing better, staying a while." I answered, "Good." At 7:30, Rachel texted, "Sorry tonight, got messed up. Love you." I answered, "Love you too." At 7:45, Paul sent, "Happy birthday, Dad, rain check." I looked at that one for a while before typing, "Thank you, hope you feel better." He gave the message a thumbs up. The strange thing was, none of them had to lie very well. They only had to lie in the direction I was already willing to look. Paul had been having trouble for months. He and Adrian had stopped coming to Sunday dinners together. If Paul came, Adrian was working. If Adrian came, Paul had a headache. Elaine reported each excuse to me, with the solemnity of a diplomatic cable. 3 Sundays earlier, Paul had finally said they were taking space. We were at Rachel's table then, too. Dana had made chili, and Rachel had set out sour cream in a bowl so small that Paul and I both reached for it at once. "What does taking space mean?" I asked. "It means what it sounds like," Paul said. "Not really." "Martin," Elaine warned. "I'm asking." "No," Paul said. "You're opening a file." He was 37, broad-shouldered, with my hands and Elaine's habit of pressing his tongue against his cheek when angry. He worked in commercial sales and owned 4 suits that cost more than my first car. Whenever he was upset, though, I could still see the boy who used to hide broken things under his bed, rather than show them to me. I set down the sour cream. "I don't have a file." "You remember every mistake anybody makes. That isn't the same thing. It feels exactly the same." Adrian stared into his chili. Rachel said, "Can we please not do this now?" Paul laughed once without humor. "See? We're already doing it." What I should have said was, "I'm sorry you're hurting." What I said was, "You disappear when you're ashamed, Paul. You've done it your whole life, and everybody here helps you." The silence afterward had weight. Dana picked up her water glass, realized it was empty, and put it back down. Paul stood. Adrian said his name, softly. "No, he wants the truth so much, he can have it." Paul looked at me. His face had gone red across the cheekbones. "You don't get to make me feel 2 inches tall and call it honesty. I'm not making you feel anything." "That," he said, "that right there." He left. Adrian waited perhaps 10 seconds, then followed him. Elaine didn't speak to me in the car. The morning of my birthday, Paul had sent me a message that said only, "I'll come tonight if we can keep it light." I had answered, "Of course." At the time, I thought that settled something. At 8:17, looking at the photograph, I understood what it had settled. They had found the lightest possible version of the evening. It weighed exactly 1 Martin less. I enlarged the picture. There was food on the table behind them. Dana's green serving bowl, a platter of chicken, roasted potatoes, 2 baskets of bread. The meal that did not exist had required cloth napkins. My first impulse was to call Elaine. My second was to drive over. Neither seemed useful. If I called, she would tell me to calm down before I had raised my voice. If I arrived, they would spend the rest of their lives describing the way I had arrived. So, I stayed where I was. At 8:23, Dana called. I let it ring twice before answering. "Martin." Her voice was breathless. "I am so sorry. For the photograph or the party?" She went quiet. I looked at my pie. I had eaten the point and left the crust, the way I always did. Elaine usually ate the crust. "Both," Dana said. "Was it a party?" "No. I mean, I heard a door shut on her end. It wasn't supposed to be. There was a cake with my name on it. I know. There were candles. I know. Those elements can occur separately, but together they create a certain impression." A laugh escaped her before she could stop it. It sounded miserable. "I sent that to the wrong chat," she said. "I gathered that. I didn't take the picture. I didn't think you photographed yourself with both hands full of plates. I should have checked. Rachel asked me to send it to..." She stopped. "To the family chat that doesn't have me in it?" I could hear her breathing. Dana. Yes. How long has there been a family chat that doesn't have me in it? I don't think I'm the person who should answer that. You were the person who called. I know. I'm sorry. Behind her, somebody said her name. Rachel. I have to go, Dana whispered. You don't have to do anything. That's not how it feels here. The call ended. At 10:50, headlights moved across the den wall. Elaine's car door closed. Her key entered the lock, paused, then turned as slowly as if she were coming home to a sleeping animal. She found me at the dining room table. I had moved the blue birthday card from the photograph's corner to the place in front of me. It wasn't the same card, of course. Mine was still at Rachel's house. Elaine set down her purse. You could have called, she said. So could you. It wasn't what it looked like. That's fortunate. It looked like my birthday. The cake was already paid for. Dana had cooked. Paul agreed to stay because Adrian was there, and for once they were talking. What were we supposed to do, throw everything away? You could have brought me. Her mouth tightened. Paul would have left. So you chose Paul. He needed us. And I didn't. That's not what I said. No, nobody said much of anything to me. She pulled out the chair opposite mine, but didn't sit. It was one evening, Martin. One peaceful evening. Can you please not turn this into something bigger? I looked at the woman I had slept beside for 41 years. There was blue icing near the cuff of her cream sweater. When you lit my candles, I asked, what did you think I was doing? Her hand went to the stain. For the first time that night, Elaine had no answer. Elaine finally sat down, but not in her usual chair. She chose the one to my left, as if sitting across from me might turn the conversation into a hearing. We thought you were watching the game, she said. There wasn't a game. You usually find something. Something to watch, something to do. I waited. She rubbed the icing with her thumb. It spread into a pale blue smear. I thought you'd have dinner. I thought you might call your sister. My sister called me. She sang the entire song, including the part where she forgot my name and sang, Dear Brother. That sounds like June. It was the highlight of the evening. Please don't do that. Do what? Make every sentence carry a knife. I leaned back. You came home from my birthday party and told me not to make sharp observations. It was not your birthday party. Then whose name was on the cake? Nobody's saying this was handled well. That's a useful phrase. It takes something people did and makes it sound like bad weather. Fine. We handled it badly. You lied to me. Yes. The word was quiet, but at least it belonged to someone. Elaine looked toward the dark kitchen. Her purse was still on the floor near the doorway, one strap folded under it. She never left it there. I had spent years moving that purse from places where someone might step on it. I didn't move it. Rachel wanted to cancel everything, she said. The bakery wouldn't refund the cake. Dana had already marinated the chicken. Adrian said Paul might come if you weren't there. And you? I wanted Paul to come. That isn't what I asked. What do you want me to say, Martin? The truth would be novel. Her face changed. Not much, but enough. There, she said. That's why. Why what? Why nobody wanted to tell you? You didn't tell me because you knew I'd point out that you were lying? We didn't tell you because everything becomes a test with you. Every word gets inspected. Every mistake becomes proof of something larger. You held my birthday without me, Elaine. It is larger. I know how it sounds. You know how it looks. You were in the photograph. She stood so quickly the chair legs scraped. I'm going to bed. No. She turned. I almost never told Elaine no. I disagreed, delayed, asked questions, or started sentences with technically, which she hated. But I rarely used the word by itself. We're not going to bed until you tell me about the other group chat. Her eyes moved away from mine. How long? I don't know. You're in it. I don't remember when Rachel started it. What's it called? That doesn't matter. It matters to me. Elaine crossed her arms. Family logistics. Despite everything, I nearly smiled. Of course it is. What does that mean? It sounds like a company that loses your furniture. It was for coordinating things. Your retirement dinner, Father's Day, Christmas gifts. You're difficult to surprise. I don't like surprises, which is one of the reasons it stayed useful. For planning things I wasn't supposed to know about, at first. And later, she sighed. Sometimes people needed to talk. About me. Not only about you, but about me. Yes. The house made its night noises around us. The refrigerator clicked off. Water ticked inside a heating pipe. Somewhere upstairs, the old vent cover gave the single metallic pop it made every night when the temperature dropped. What do they say? I'm not showing you private conversations. I didn't ask to see them. You were going to. No, I was going to ask what they say. That's different? It gives you a chance to answer in your own words. Elaine stared at me. They say you can be hard to be around. I nodded once. You asked. I did. They say you correct people. They say you remember things they wish you'd let go. They say you offer help and then act hurt when they don't do it your way. Do you say those things? Sometimes. Do you defend me? This is exactly what I mean. Now, I'm on trial for what I may or may not have said in a text chat 6 months ago. How long has it been? 6 months? She shut her eyes. That's all I was asking. I don't know, Martin. Since Easter, maybe. Before that. It changes. Sometimes nobody uses it for weeks. And tonight? Her phone sat on the table between us. The screen was dark. Tonight there were a lot of messages, she admitted, while I was here answering each of you separately. No reply. I stood. Elaine stepped back, though I wasn't close enough to touch her. The movement hurt more than I expected. I'm sleeping in the guest room, I said. Don't be dramatic. I'm not throwing a lamp. You know what I mean. No, I don't. That seems to be a theme tonight. I went upstairs. Behind me, Elaine said my name, but not in a way that required an answer. The guest room had become a holding area for things with no immediate destination. 2 boxes of Christmas decorations sat beneath the window. A garment bag containing the suit I wore to Rachel and Dana's wedding hung from the closet door. On the dresser, Elaine had stacked 3 decorative pillows that belonged on the bed, but made sleeping in it physically impossible. I put the pillows in the chair. The sheets smelled faintly of cedar because Elaine stored winter blankets in the closet. I lay on my back in my clothes and watched headlights move across the ceiling whenever a car passed. At 11:30, my phone buzzed. Rachel. Mom says you're upset. I read it twice. Not, are you upset? Not, I'm sorry. Mom says you're upset, as if Elaine had reported a leak. I typed, your mother doesn't need to tell you what I am. You can ask me. The reply came quickly. Okay? Are you upset? Yes. I watched the dots. I'm sorry the photo got sent to you like that. I wrote, how should it have been sent? She didn't answer. A few minutes later, Elaine came into the room without knocking. She had changed into her nightgown and washed off her makeup, but a faint streak of blue still marked the cuff of the sweater she was carrying. Rachel is crying. She texted me. She doesn't know what to say. She could start with what happened. She knows what happened. Then she has an advantage over where I was 3 hours ago. Elaine put the sweater on top of the garment bag. Can we please talk without you doing that? I thought we were talking. You know exactly what you're doing. I sat up. I'm lying in a guest bed on my birthday because my wife attended a dinner she told me had been canceled. I don't know what version of me you expected to come out of that. The version that understands Paul is in trouble. Is he in danger? No. Is Adrian? No. Then Paul can tell me what kind of trouble he's in when he wants me to know. He doesn't feel safe telling you. The word safe landed badly. Elaine saw it. I don't mean physically. I'm aware. He thinks you judge him. I do judge him. He's my son. I have opinions about what he does. That's not comforting. Neither is pretending his choices have no pattern. This isn't about whether you're right. It never is, once I'm right. Elaine looked down at me with such exhausted anger that I heard the sentence from the night before in Paul's voice. That right there. I looked away first. You see, she said, softer, you can't help yourself. That should have made me angrier. Instead, it left me tired. Maybe I can't, I said. But you could have told me Paul wouldn't come if I did. You could have let me decide whether to stay home. And if I had? I don't know. That's why we didn't ask. You might have insisted. I might have. Or I might have given him the evening. You wouldn't have. You don't know that. I've known you 43 years, and apparently I don't know what you do on Tuesday nights. Her mouth tightened again. I pulled back the blanket. I want to sleep. So that's it? For tonight? What am I supposed to tell Rachel? Tell her I can read. Elaine picked up the sweater and left. This time she closed the door gently, which somehow felt worse. I woke at 6 out of habit. For a moment the ceiling was unfamiliar, and I thought I was in a hotel. Then I saw the Christmas boxes and remembered. Elaine was already in the kitchen when I came down. 2 mugs sat beside the coffee machine. She had poured mine into the thick brown one I used every morning. The gesture irritated me, because it was kind and because kindness had resumed without permission. "I made eggs," she said. "I'm not hungry. You should eat." I'm 68. The state lets me make breakfast decisions. The state has made worse choices. There she was. The woman who could still make me laugh while I was furious with her. I poured out the coffee she had made and started a fresh cup. Elaine watched. "That's childish, probably." "Is there something wrong with the coffee?" "No." "Then why waste it?" "Because I didn't ask you to make it. We've been making each other coffee for 4 decades. And last night you made decisions for me, because that was easier too." Her face went still. "Coffee is not the same as a birthday. I know. I was invited to the coffee. My phone rang on the counter. Rachel." Elaine reached toward it, then stopped herself. "Answer. I planned to." Rachel didn't say hello. "Are you going to punish Mom for this?" Elaine heard. I could tell by the way her shoulders lifted. "Good morning, Rachel." "Dad." "I'm not punishing anyone. You're sleeping in the guest room. Your mother told you that?" "She's upset. I thought she didn't need you speaking for her." A pause. "You always do this." "Do what?" "Make people regret calling." "Then tell me why you called." She exhaled hard. "Because you're going to turn one stupid dinner into the collapse of the family." "No. I ate one stupid dinner. You had the family one. It wasn't fun." The picture suggested otherwise. It was 1 second. Paul made a joke, and Dana took the picture. "You don't know what the rest of the night was like." "You're right. I wasn't there, because Paul couldn't handle being around you." That silenced the kitchen. Elaine turned toward the sink. Rachel continued, quieter. "He said he wouldn't come if you came. Adrian said this might be their only chance to talk. What were we supposed to do? You were supposed to tell me, so you could make Paul explain himself, so I could choose. You would have made it about being noble. You would have stayed home, but everyone would know what it cost you." I rested one hand on the counter. "And this way, nobody had to know? We knew? Did you?" She began crying then, angrily, the way she had as a girl, when tears felt like a betrayal. "This is why we needed one night. Everyone measures every sentence around you." I looked at Elaine. She wouldn't turn around. "All right," I said. Rachel sniffed. "All right what? I heard you. That's it? For now?" She hung up. Elaine ran water over a plate that was already clean. I carried my coffee toward the den. "Martin," she said. I stopped. "Rachel wants to know if you can come by this afternoon." The cabinet door under their sink came loose again. I looked back at her. Elaine's expression changed as she heard what she had just asked. "Rachel can call me," I said. "She just did." "No, she called you. Then you called me." I walked out before either of us could pretend that was the same thing. I took my coffee into the garage because the den still contained the remains of my one sad pie dinner, and I wasn't ready to clean up after myself. The garage smelled like sawdust, motor oil, and the lavender dryer sheets Elaine stored in bulk on a shelf near the door. I sat at my workbench and stared at a cabinet hinge Rachel had left there 3 weeks earlier. It was the kind that closed softly until one cheap plastic piece wore out, after which it slammed like it had developed a grievance. I had already ordered the replacement. That was how things happened in our family. Someone mentioned a problem near me. I remembered it. The correct part appeared. Whatever had been broken stopped being broken, and nobody had to experience the discomfort of asking twice. The new hinge was still in its package. I turned it over in my hand. My phone rang. "Rachel," I answered without speaking. "Hi," she said. "Hi. Mom said I needed to call you myself. Your mother didn't need to say that either. Can we not? We cannot do anything you'd like. You called me." The hinge packaging crackled in my hand. "The cabinet door is hanging by one screw," she said. Dana nearly dropped a mixing bowl on her foot. "Take the door off. I don't know how. There are 2 screws on each hinge. Can you just come look at it?" "Not today." Silence. I could picture her standing in the kitchen with one hip against the counter, phone wedged between her shoulder and ear, already dressed even though it was barely 8. Rachel believed wearing shoes before breakfast gave a person authority over the day. "Because you're mad?" she asked. "Because I don't want to come to your house today." So yes, those aren't the same answer. They feel the same. Apparently feelings had become legally binding overnight. "I'll explain how to remove it," I said. "You'll need a Phillips screwdriver." "Which one is that?" "The one shaped like a cross. I know what a Phillips screwdriver is." Then we're making progress. She let out a noise that was half laugh, half groan. "Dad, please." The please nearly did it. I had my keys in my pocket. The replacement hinge was in my hand. I could have been at her house in 12 minutes, fixed the cabinet in 4, and spent the rest of the morning pretending we were both there because of hardware. Instead, I put the hinge back on the bench. "Not today, Rachel. You're making a cabinet into a statement." "No, I'm leaving it a cabinet. Take the door off so it doesn't fall." She hung up. Elaine was in the hallway when I came back inside. She had a dish towel over one shoulder and the particular expression she wore when trying to decide whether I was being principled or difficult. "You could fix that with your eyes closed," she said. "I probably shouldn't." "You know what I mean." "I do. She called you herself. Because you instructed her to. What else did you want her to do?" "Maybe call because she wanted to speak to me. People don't always start perfectly, Martin. That's true. Sometimes they start by holding your birthday without you." She turned away. I regretted it as soon as I said it, not because it was inaccurate, but because I had reached for it too quickly. Elaine was right about one thing. I knew where to put a sentence if I wanted it to hurt. "I'm going out," I said. "Where?" "I don't know yet." "Will you be back for lunch?" The normality of the question caught between us. "I don't know that either." I drove to the diner. The same young woman was behind the counter, her hair twisted up and held with what appeared to be a yellow pencil. She recognized me before I sat down. "Marty," she said. "How was the sad pie?" "Emotionally unavailable." "That bad?" "The pie was fine." She poured coffee without asking. Her name tag said Kelsey, though the Y had been scratched enough to look like a V. "You want breakfast?" "No." She placed a menu in front of me. "I'll give you some time to reconsider your mistakes." "Do you work on commission?" "I work on tips, which is a system where you reward me for pretending your jokes are new." She moved down the counter to refill a truck driver's cup. I stayed for 40 minutes and ordered toast so I wouldn't become a municipal concern. At the register, Kelsey asked if I had used the candle. "No, saving it for a happier pie. Those are rare." When I returned home, Dana's car was parked at the curb. She stood on our front step holding a square bakery box in both hands. Dana was tall, with close-cropped black hair and round glasses that turned dark in sunlight. She wore paint-spattered jeans and a green sweater I had seen Rachel try to throw away twice. Each time, Dana had rescued it from the donation bag. "I texted," she said. "My phone's in the car. I can go?" "You brought cake." I didn't know what else to do with it. Throwing it away was apparently never an option. She looked down. That was a bad explanation. "Yes, I can still go." I opened the door. Elaine was upstairs when we entered. Dana set the box on the dining room table and kept her coat on. The bakery had tied the lid with white string even though the box no longer contained a whole cake. Through the little plastic window, I could see 2 uneven slices, one thick with white frosting and one mostly bare. "Which one is mine?" I asked. "The one with frosting." "Then you don't know me very well." "I'm starting to think none of us do." She sat in the chair Elaine had used the night before. I untied the string but didn't open the box. "Rachel, know you're here?" "No." "Elaine?" "No." That makes 2 secret gatherings in 24 hours. Dana flinched. "I deserve that. That's not why I said it." "Why did you?" "I'm trying to determine whether I'm capable of making an observation without putting someone on trial." That surprised a smile out of her. It disappeared quickly. "I didn't come to make excuses," she said, "and I'm not asking you to say it's okay." "Good. I came because everybody's already sanding down what happened. By next week, the official version will be that dinner was canceled. Paul came over unexpectedly, and we happened to eat the cake. Wasn't that what happened?" "Not exactly." She removed her glasses and cleaned them on the hem of the green sweater. "Rachel wanted to cancel when Paul gave her the ultimatum. Adrian asked if we could still get them in the same room somehow. Elaine said maybe we could tell you it was postponed." "Elaine suggested it?" Dana put her glasses back on. "Yes. I had assumed it was Rachel's plan, and Elaine had accepted it. That distinction should not have mattered much. It did." "What did you say?" "I said it sounded cruel." "But you went along?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because Rachel said she needed me on her side." Elaine said you'd understand eventually. Adrian said he hadn't had a real conversation with Paul in weeks. Dana folded her hands. And because I didn't want to be the person who ruined the one chance they had. So everyone was protecting someone, except you. It was blunt enough that I respected it. I opened the cake box. The slice with frosting included part of the red icing from my name. A curved piece of the M lay on its side. The chicken was for the dinner, Dana continued. I'd already made it before we canceled. Paul arrived first. He wasn't sick. Adrian came about 15 minutes later. They went out on the back porch and talked. About what? I don't know. Rachel made everyone agree not to ask. Someone in that house learns. Dana gave me a warning look. Do you want me to tell you or not? Yes. Then don't make me defend you while I'm trying to apologize. I sat back. She went on. Elaine came at 6. Rachel said we should put the cake in the freezer. Your freezer is full, ours is worse, and the cake was already starting to sweat. We ate dinner. Nobody called it your birthday. Nobody mentioned why you weren't there. That must have taken effort. It did. The words came out before she could soften them. I looked at her. I'm sorry, she said. No. Keep going. After dinner, Rachel said we might as well have cake. Elaine said somebody should take a picture because the bakery did a nice job. Elaine wanted the picture. Yes, that was another small distinction I didn't want. Who moved my chair? I did. Why? Elaine kept looking at it. Dana's voice was almost a whisper. So, you put it against the wall and rolled the drink cart over. I thought it would look less obvious. In the picture, in the room. I looked toward the head of our own table. My chair was where it had always been, though suddenly it seemed ridiculous for one person to have a designated chair in his own home. I wondered how many habits looked like rules from the outside. Who lit the candles? Elaine. Whose idea? Rachel's. She said the cake looked strange with the candles still in the package. Then the number 8 fell over. Dana blinked. How did you know? There was icing on Elaine's cuff. She caught it before it landed in the frosting. Paul made a joke. That's when everybody laughed. What joke? Dana looked at the cake. What did he say? He said it was the first time you'd let something fall without explaining gravity. I laughed. I didn't mean to. It was a decent joke, and Paul had always been funniest when he was angry. Dana smiled helplessly. Then Rachel said, At least you weren't there to complain that the frosting was too thick. And everyone laughed again. Yes. Elaine, yes. I touched the piece of red M with the tip of my finger. Dana reached into her coat and placed a blue envelope beside the cake box. This is yours. The card from the photograph. I opened it. On the front, a gray-haired cartoon man reclined beneath the words, Another year of doing whatever you want. Inside, Elaine had written, Still my favorite person to come home to. Rachel and Dana had signed beneath her. Adrian had written, Happy birthday, Martin. Paul's message was last. Sorry I couldn't be there. Rain check. I read it again. When did he sign this? After dinner? He wrote that while he was there? Dana nodded. For the first time since seeing the photograph, anger arrived without any cleverness attached to it. It moved through me, hot and clean. Dana watched my face. Are you going to forgive us? I closed the card. I don't know yet, I said. Who us is? Dana nodded as if I had given her a sentence she expected. That's fair. I didn't say it was fair. No. You usually say when something isn't. The front stair creaked. Dana and I both looked toward the hallway. Elaine stood 3 steps from the bottom, one hand on the railing. She had changed into jeans and a gray sweatshirt. Her hair was tied back, though several silver strands had escaped around her face. How long have you been listening? I asked. Long enough? Dana stood. I should go. Elaine came down the remaining steps. Rachel knows you're here? No, she's been calling you. My phone is in my pocket. Then you know she's been calling. Dana put on her glasses more firmly, although they were already on. I told Martin what happened. I heard. I didn't show him the chat. That's generous. Elaine? I said. No, it's fine. Dana shoved her hands into the pockets of her green sweater. I knew somebody would be angry at me. I'm not angry because you told him, Elaine said. I'm angry because you came here alone and made yourself the honest one. Dana absorbed that without flinching. I was there. I let it happen. I sent the picture because I wasn't paying attention. I'm not the honest one. You brought him cake. It's his cake. It was a mistake. The cake, the whole night. Dana looked at her. You're still calling it that. Elaine folded her arms. What should I call it? A decision. The room went quiet. Dana looked at me. I really am sorry. I know. No, you don't. Not yet. She glanced at Elaine. Neither of you knows anything about me yet. It was an odd thing to say, and before I could ask what she meant, she picked up her coat from the back of the chair. Her phone began vibrating. She pulled it out, looked at Rachel's name, and answered. I'm at your parents' house, she said. There was no greeting and no attempt to move beyond our hearing. Rachel's voice came through, sharp but indistinct. I told him what happened, Dana said. All of it, more sharpness. No, I'm not taking his side. Dana looked at me when she said it, not apologetically. Just accurately. I'm taking mine. She ended the call and put the phone back in her pocket. Do you want me to walk you out? I asked. I'm 39, Martin, so you know how doors work. Most of them, not cabinets. She smiled once and left. Through the front window, I watched her sit in her car without starting it. Her head lowered over the steering wheel. She stayed that way while Elaine and I stood on opposite sides of the dining room table. Finally, Elaine said, Dana has always had a flair for making guilt look noble. That's an interesting criticism from the woman who told me the food would have gone to waste. Don't. What would you like me to do with this? I lifted the blue card. I don't know. You signed it. I signed it before. Before what? Before we decided to postpone. The others signed it after dinner. I can't control when adults sign a card. You were sitting there. I was sitting there for a lot of things I didn't like. Such as? Elaine pressed her palms flat against the table. Paul lying in the card. Rachel making that joke about the frosting. Adrian opening a second bottle of wine when he was supposed to drive. Dana taking that picture, she didn't take it. What? She had plates in both hands. Elaine's eyes went to the photograph that was no longer there. Then Rachel took it. Apparently. Fine. Rachel took it, Dana sent it. Does that change anything? It changes who did what. And there it is. What? The ledger. I set the card down. You keep saying that like details are a moral failure. No. I'm saying you collect details until you can arrange them into a shape where you are innocent. I was home alone. And before that, the question sat between us. Before that, I embarrassed Paul at lunch, I said. You humiliated him. I told the truth. You told his truth in front of 5 other people because he wouldn't tell it the way you wanted. I didn't know what happened with Adrian. You knew enough to know Paul was ashamed, so everyone protected him from me. Yes. Elaine said it without hesitation. I turned toward the window. Dana's car was gone. Behind me, Elaine continued. I'm sorry you were alone. I'm sorry we lied. I'm sorry the picture reached you the way it did. The way it did. Oh, for God's sake. That sounds like you're sorry I found out. I'm sorry the photograph was the thing that told you. Is that precise enough? No. Then I don't know what you want. I want you to be sorry you went. I am not sorry I went. That stopped me. Elaine's eyes filled, but her voice stayed level. Paul talked to Adrian for 2 hours. Really talked. He admitted things he hasn't admitted to anybody. Adrian stayed. Paul stayed. Nobody slammed a door. So, no, I'm not sorry I was there for my son. You could have been there for him without pretending it was my party. We didn't pretend it was your party. You lit candles with my age on them. That was stupid. You posed for a picture. That was stupid too. You laughed. Yes, Martin, I laughed. Paul made a funny joke, and I laughed. I hated myself while I was doing it, but I laughed. Her voice broke on the last word. I looked down at the card. Still my favorite person to come home to. You could have left, I said. I almost did, but you didn't. No. Why? Because everyone was relaxed. She covered her mouth for a moment, then lowered her hand. There it is, I said. Yes, there it is. They were relaxed. Paul wasn't staring at the door. Rachel wasn't trying to change the subject every 30 seconds. Adrian wasn't looking at me like I was supposed to explain my son to him. For one evening, nobody was waiting for you to correct the room. I didn't know I had that much power. You don't. That's part of the problem. I almost asked her what that meant. Then I understood enough not to. Elaine had spent years telling people what I intended after I had already left the room. Your father wasn't criticizing the new job. He worries about security. Martin didn't mean the chicken was dry. He was trying to help. Dad isn't mad. He just needs time. I had let her do it because she was better at making people feel better, and because every translation preserved my belief that I had been clear the first time. "You're tired of explaining me," I said. "I'm tired of explaining everybody to everybody." "Then stop." "You think it's that easy?" "No. You'll all tear each other apart. That's not a strong endorsement of the family." Her mouth twitched, but she refused the smile. "I suggested postponing because I wanted Paul and Adrian in the same room," she said. "I told myself we would do your birthday properly next week." Then the evening kept moving. Every time I thought we should stop, stopping would have meant saying out loud what we were doing, so nobody did. No. And when the cake came out, I wanted a picture of it before we cut it, because you always complain that nobody takes pictures. I complain that everyone takes pictures of food instead of people. I know. Apparently I've been wasting my material. She laughed, one short, unwilling breath. Then she began crying. I didn't go to her. That was unusual enough that she noticed. Elaine turned away and wiped her face with both hands. "You're punishing me," she said. "I don't know how to comfort you about hurting me. I'm not asking you to. You're standing there crying. I'm allowed to cry without it becoming a request." That was true. I went to the kitchen and returned with the tissue box. I placed it within reach rather than handing her one. She looked at the box, very diplomatic. I considered sliding it across the table. That would have been too much. I thought so. She took a tissue. My phone buzzed. The family chat, the old one, the one that included me. Rachel had written, "I think everybody needs to cool down today." A moment later, Paul gave the message a thumbs up. Elaine's phone buzzed at the same time. She read something and her face tightened. "Different chat?" I asked. She put her phone face down. "Yes." "What does that one say?" "Rachel thinks Dana violated her trust. Dana told the person you lied to. Rachel talked about her marriage in that chat." I didn't ask to see it, I know. "Then why are you defending a privacy I didn't invade? Because if I tell you enough, you'll fill in the rest. I've spent 41 years filling in the rest. And you always give yourself the best lines." I picked up the cake box. "Do you want the piece without frosting?" She stared at me. "It'll dry out," I said. "Are we really eating cake now? It seems less strange in daylight." We stood at the kitchen counter and ate from paper napkins because neither of us wanted to make the act formal by getting plates. Elaine took the bare piece. Mine had too much frosting. After 2 bites, she said, "It is too thick." I know. That almost undid both of us. Instead, I scraped half the frosting onto the inside of the box and finished the cake. Elaine watched me fold the cardboard closed. "Are you staying in the guest room again tonight?" "Yes." "For how long?" "I don't know. I can't fix something if you won't tell me what you need. You can't fix this by doing what I need. Then what are we doing, for today?" "Not pretending." She nodded slowly. I carried my coffee cup upstairs and began moving what I would need. Clean socks, 2 shirts, my razor, the book from my nightstand. Not a suitcase. Not enough to call it leaving. Enough that Elaine would not have to guess whether I intended to return to our bed that night. When I opened the guest room dresser, the blue birthday card was still in my hand. I considered throwing it away. Instead, I placed it in the top drawer beneath a stack of pillowcases. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Paul. "Don't make Dana the good guy." She was there too. I typed, "I know. So were you." His answer came a minute later. "I need space." I looked at the words, then wrote, "You can ask me for that yourself. You don't need 5 people to remove me from a room." The dots appeared, disappeared, and did not return. Downstairs, Elaine closed a cabinet harder than necessary. I set my phone beside the guest bed and shut the drawer on the card, but not all the way. One blue corner remained visible. For the next 3 mornings, Elaine made 1 cup of coffee. It was not an act of hostility. An act of hostility would have been louder. She measured enough grounds for herself, filled the machine to the 2-cup mark because the manufacturer was optimistic, and carried her mug to the sunroom before I came downstairs. I made mine afterward. We moved around each other with the careful courtesy of strangers sharing a vacation rental. If I emptied the dishwasher, she thanked me. If she brought in the mail, I thanked her. Neither of us asked how the other had slept, because we could hear the answer through the wall. On Thursday evening, I found her standing in the garage with the replacement hinge in her hand. "Rachel is coming to get this," she said. "She called me?" "She called me." I waited. Elaine closed her eyes. "Then she can call you." She put the hinge down, exactly where she had found it. "Thank you." Don't thank me like I passed a test. I wasn't. You have a tone, so do you. Yes, but mine is charming. That was the closest we had come to normal. It vanished before either of us could make use of it. Rachel arrived 20 minutes later. She did not call first. She pulled into the driveway, walked into the open garage, and held up a screwdriver. Phillips, she said. I glanced at it. Technically, that's a Pozadrev. She stared at me. I'm kidding. You're not. No. She put the screwdriver on the workbench. Can I have the hinge? It's yours. She picked up the package and examined the back as if instructions might have improved since she last saw any. Rachel was 40, not 39 like Dana, though people usually guessed the other way around. Dana had a face that looked amused even when she was tired. Rachel looked prepared. Her dark blonde hair was pulled into a low knot. She wore a navy raincoat despite there being no rain in the forecast. Dana? Fix the door? I asked. She took it off. That's what I suggested. I know. She said you told us how. She said us? Rachel put the hinge back down. Are you doing this on purpose? Doing what? Listening for every little word like there's a trap door under it. I asked a question. You always ask a question. I'm beginning to understand that. She leaned against the workbench but misjudged the edge and knocked over a tin of pencils. I bent automatically. So did she. Our heads nearly collided. Stop, she said. I was picking them up. So was I. I saw that. Then let me. I straightened. Rachel gathered the pencils one at a time. A red carpenter's pencil had rolled beneath the lawnmower. She got down on one knee and reached for it, her raincoat dragging across the concrete. You can leave that one, I said. I am not leaving it. It's under the mower. I see where it is. The engine may be hot. You haven't used the mower today. That's true. She retrieved the pencil and slapped it into the tin. Congratulations, I said. She pointed at me. You think you're being funny. Sometimes I am. Not enough to justify the risk. That sounded like me. I smiled before I could stop myself. Rachel did too, briefly. Then she saw the hinge and remembered why she was angry. Dana slept in her studio Tuesday night, she said. I looked at her. She says we need to talk about why I wanted a chat where I could complain about you. That sounds like something the two of you should discuss. Your new direct communication rule is very convenient. It's not a rule. You announce it like one. I didn't announce anything. I stopped accepting messages sent through your mother. And somehow, we're all reorganizing our lives around that. Rachel, you came here for a hinge. No, I came here because if I had Mom pick it up, you would put another mark in your ledger. There is no ledger. Fine. Your perfect memory. It is nowhere near perfect. You remember the exact price of a hamburger I ordered on a vacation in 1998. It was $11. I know, Dad. You've told me. That was outrageous in 1998. It was at a hotel. The hotel didn't raise the cow. She pressed her lips together. This is what I mean. We start talking about Tuesday, and suddenly I'm defending a 28-year-old hamburger. You brought up the hamburger. Because it's an example. It isn't a very good one. Her hands flew outward. You cannot let anything stand if there's a more accurate version available. The garage seemed to get smaller. I sat on the old wooden stool beside the bench. All right, don't say it like that. How should I say it? Like you actually heard me. I heard you. You're waiting for your turn. I'm trying not to. That stopped her. She looked at the screwdriver, the hinge, the tin of pencils. Ordinary things were safer than my face. Dana thinks what we did was cruel, she said. Do you? I think it got out of control. That's not the same answer. I knew you'd say that. I'm asking what you think. I think Paul needed one night where he didn't feel watched. By me. Yes. And you wanted one too. She lifted her chin. Maybe. Thank you. For what? For saying it. I didn't say it was right. No, I didn't say I don't love you. I know. You make it difficult to love you sometimes. I looked at her for a moment. I imagine that's true. She had prepared for a fight. I could see the next three things she meant to say waiting behind her teeth. My answer left them without employment. You're supposed to tell me I'm difficult too, she said. You are. There he is. You asked. She laughed, but tears appeared in her eyes. Rachel looked toward the open garage door, embarrassed by them. I hate this, she said. I hate that one dinner has turned into everybody examining their entire personality. I'm not enjoying it. You look calm. That isn't the same thing. It looks the same from here. I rested my forearms on my knees. I wasn't calm when I read Paul's note in the card. Rachel went still. Dana gave you the card? Yes. She had no right. It had my name on the envelope. That isn't what I mean. I know. Paul was upset. He wrote the first thing that came into his head. He wrote that he was sorry he couldn't be there while sitting beside my cake. I told him it was stupid. Did you? Yes, I said. That's awful, Paul. He said the whole thing was awful. Then Adrian told us to stop because they had finally managed to talk. You still put the card in the envelope. So did Mom. What did that change? Nothing, apparently. She wiped beneath one eye with the side of her thumb. I'm trying to plan next Saturday. For what? Your birthday dinner. I had a birthday dinner. Dad? I did. Meatloaf from the diner. Kelsey called me Marty. Who's Kelsey, the waitress responsible for my emotional welfare? Please be serious. I am serious. I don't want another dinner next Saturday. You can't refuse and then keep saying we excluded you. I can do both. That's punishment. No. It's not performing forgiveness before I feel it. Nobody's asking you to perform. You're trying to put the same people around another cake so the first photograph means less. Her mouth opened, then closed. That's not why, she said. Would Paul come? I don't know. Ask him. He'll think you're making him choose. I'm asking if everyone who attended my birthday without me plans to attend the replacement. Do you hear yourself? Yes, it's a cross-examination. Then don't hold the trial at dinner. Rachel picked up the hinge and screwdriver. At the garage opening, she stopped. Mom says you're sleeping in the guest room. Your mother says too much when she's trying not to say the important thing. She's scared. So am I. Rachel turned fully. She had not expected that answer. Of what? That your mother and I have spent 41 years being useful to each other and calling all of it love. That's a horrible thing to say. It's not all we are. I'm trying to understand how much of us it is. You don't get to break Mom's heart because you're mad at me and Paul. Your mother attended the party. You keep calling it that. What do you call it? She looked down at the hinge in her hand. I don't know yet, she said. It was the most honest answer she had given me. After Rachel left, I remained in the garage. I sorted the pencils by type, realized what I was doing, and mixed them up again. Elaine appeared in the doorway near 6. Did she get the hinge? Yes. How did it go? Badly, then less badly, then badly again. That sounds like Rachel. She told me you're scared. Elaine's expression tightened. I told her I didn't know what you were doing. Neither do I. She thinks you might leave. Do you? I think you're moving into the guest room one sock at a time, so nobody can accuse you of making a scene. That was precise enough to hurt. I haven't thought about leaving, I said. You hadn't thought about sleeping separately until Tuesday. No, our anniversary reservation is in 6 weeks. I had forgotten about it. Rachel and Paul had been planning a dinner at a restaurant by the river, the one Elaine liked because they served drinks in glasses too delicate for my hands. I don't want a family anniversary party, I said. You can't decide that for both of us. You're right. The agreement irritated her more than resistance would have. What do you want? She asked. I want you to decide whether you want to celebrate our marriage or demonstrate it. She looked at me for a long time. I don't know the difference anymore, she said. Neither did I, but I wasn't ready to admit it. My phone chimed. Rachel had sent a photograph to the old family chat. Her cabinet door hung straight beneath the sink. No fatalities, she wrote. I started typing. The right side is about 1/8 of an inch low. I deleted it. Nice work, I wrote. A minute later, Rachel gave the message a thumbs up. Then Dana added a small red heart. The heart remained beneath Rachel's photograph until Paul removed his thumbs up. I noticed because I checked the chat more often than I wanted to admit. No one added anything else. The cabinet door stood straight, the silver handle catching the light, and under it were my 2 words, Dana's heart, and a small blank space where Paul's approval had been. On Saturday morning, I was in the garage trying to sharpen a mower blade that did not need sharpening when Paul pulled into the driveway. He opened the rear door of his car and lifted out a cardboard box with both arms. I recognized the box. It had once held a microwave Elaine and I bought in 2009. I had written records do not stack on 2 sides in black marker. Paul carried it into the garage and set it near my workbench. These are yours. I thought they were yours now. You said I could borrow them. That was 12 years ago. I'm returning them. He straightened and rubbed his hands down the front of his jeans. Paul usually dressed as if a photographer might surprise him at lunch. That morning, he wore faded denim, a gray sweatshirt, and running shoes with no socks. His hair looked recently washed and poorly negotiated. I wiped the mower blade with a rag. Coffee? No. Elaine made soup. I'm not staying. I didn't offer soup. You were about to. I was establishing available inventory. He looked toward the door into the house. Is Mom home? Yes. Does she know I'm here? She saw your car. Did you call her? No. He nodded. We had apparently begun treating direct conversation like a contagious disease whose chain of transmission needed documenting. I crouched beside the box and opened the folded flaps. On top was Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run, still in the clear sleeve I had put around it after Paul spilled cola near the collection years earlier. You packed these upright, I said. That's how you're supposed to pack them. I know. You taught me. I remember. Of course you do. He said it lightly, but the old argument had entered the garage with him and was looking for a chair. I lifted out the record. Why now? I'm clearing things out. From the condo? Yes. Adrian moved the rest of his things. Paul's jaw shifted. Thursday. I'm sorry. Don't be. All right. That's not better. I'm trying to follow instructions. I didn't give you instructions. You said don't be sorry. I meant you don't have to look like somebody died. I don't know what face I had. The one you wore when Grandpa's dog got put down. That was a sad dog. It bit you. It was still sad. Paul pressed his fingers into his eyes. I shouldn't have come. You came to return records. I could have left them on the porch, but you didn't. He dropped his hands. Do you want an apology? Is that what we're doing? I don't know what we're doing. That's convenient. It isn't. I prefer knowing. For a moment, we stood facing each other over the box. Then a paper sleeve near the side collapsed inward, and several records leaned at an angle. I reached for them. Paul did too. Hold the box, I said. I am holding it. You're pushing the side in. I'm keeping it from splitting. It's not splitting. The bottom feels soft. It's cardboard. Cardboard is soft, not when it's dry. I stopped. We both looked at the darkened corner beneath his hand. Did these get wet? A little. How little? The basement storage closet had a leak. When? Last fall. And you didn't tell me? They're records, Dad. Yes. Not medical supplies. I'm aware. I moved them right away. You left them in the same box. I dried the box. You cannot dry cardboard back into being structurally reliable. Paul stared at me. Then, against his will, he laughed. It came out through his nose first. He turned away, but that made it worse. I started laughing too, partly because he was, and partly because I heard myself discussing structurally reliable cardboard as if we were on a rescue team. You missed your calling, he said. Federal box inspector. I wouldn't work for the government. They couldn't meet your standards. They rarely do. The laughter thinned. Neither of us wanted to be the first to admit we had enjoyed it. I took an empty plastic crate from beneath the bench. We should check the sleeves for mildew. I said, I'm not staying. You also said the box was dry. He looked at his car, then at the crate. Fine, he said. 10 minutes. We carried both containers to the folding table near the garage window. One by one, we removed the records. Most were fine. A few outer sleeves had warped. Paul had mixed my collection with albums he and Adrian bought together, so every few minutes he would pull one out and say, that's mine, or that's his, and place it in a separate stack. There was something bleak about dividing a marriage through music. Al Green went to Adrian. Fleetwood Mac went to Paul. Neither claimed a jazz record they had apparently purchased while trying to become people who listened to jazz. Give it to Dana, I said. She likes jazz. She owns 3 berets. That is not evidence. It would satisfy a jury. Paul placed it beside my stack. After 20 minutes, Elaine opened the interior door. I'm making more coffee, she said. Does anyone want any? Paul looked at me. Ask him, I said. Elaine gave me a look that would have peeled paint. Paul? Yeah. Thanks, Mom. Martin? Yes, please. She went back inside. Paul shook his head. You're enjoying this. What? Making everybody speak like we're in couples therapy. I'm not making anyone. You know Mom would have brought coffee for both of us, she asked, because she's scared not to. That landed. I slid Otis Redding into a clean sleeve. I don't want her scared. She is. So am I. You told Rachel that. Apparently you have an efficient distribution system. She told me because she didn't know what to say. Neither does anybody else. Paul wiped dust from the table with the side of his hand. I asked for space, and I gave it to you. Not like this. What kind did you want? I don't know. I thought you'd call. You told me you needed space. You could have checked in. And then you could have said, I don't respect boundaries. He leaned back against the wall. You always find the version where the other person makes it impossible for you to win. That may be true. His expression changed. What? You're supposed to argue. I'm trying something. It's unsettling. It's not comfortable from here either. Elaine returned with 3 mugs on a tray, though nobody had asked her to use a tray. She set Paul's near him, mine near me, and kept hers. Do you need help? She asked. No, Paul and I said together. She nodded once and went inside, closing the door behind her. Paul watched her leave. She thinks you're going to leave. I know. Are you? No. Does she know? I told her I haven't thought about leaving. That isn't the same. I examined a warped corner that did not require examination. Apparently the family talent is hearing the worst possible meaning in accurate sentences. You taught us. Your mother contributed. He smiled into his coffee. Adrian and I are done, he said. I put the record down. He signed a 6-month lease, Paul continued. He took the rest of his clothes, the coffee grinder, and the good vacuum. You hated that vacuum. I hated how much he talked about it. The vacuum itself was excellent. Do you want me to say, I'm sorry now? No. All right. Paul's eyes reddened. He took a drink too quickly and winced at the heat. He said, I turn everything into sides, he said. If he was upset, I needed to know whether he was blaming me. If he wasn't blaming me, I needed him to say who he was blaming. He said he couldn't have a bad day without me building a courtroom. I kept my hands still. You can say it, Paul said. Say what? That I do the same thing. I wasn't going to. You were thinking it? Yes, that counts. No, it doesn't. To the person sitting across from you, it does. I looked at him. Then I don't know how anyone survives being known. Paul looked down at his mug. The sentence had come out more honestly than I intended. He turned the handle back and forth between his fingers. At lunch, I was already embarrassed. Adrian had told me he was moving out. I asked him to come because I thought if we acted normal, maybe we'd become normal again. And I opened the file. You opened the file. I'm sorry. He waited, suspicious of the shortness. I added, I saw Adrian's face when you said you were taking space. I knew it wasn't the whole story, and I wanted you to admit it. Why? Because pretending irritates me. That's not a reason. No. I looked toward the closed door to the house. Maybe because I've spent years watching everyone pretend for your benefit. There it is. I'm not finished. Paul folded his arms. I was angry at all of you. Your mother for smoothing it over. Rachel for changing the subject. Adrian for protecting you. You were the person I could force into the open, so I did. In front of everybody. Yes. You made me an example. Yes. His eyes filled, and he looked furious about that too. I still shouldn't have agreed to the birthday thing, he said. No, it wasn't my idea. You gave them the choice. I said I couldn't be around you. You could have told me. I didn't want to hear you calmly explain why my feelings were incorrect. I don't think feelings are incorrect. You treat them like bad measurements. That's fair. He let out a breath and stared at the stacks of records. The joke was funny, I said. His head lifted. About gravity. You heard, Dana told me. She told you everything, most things. I was angry, I know. I didn't think she'd take a picture right then. Rachel took it. Of course she did. And you wrote in the card afterward. Paul's face changed. I don't know why I did that, he said. Yes, you do. He rubbed his palms against his jeans. Because if the card said what was actually happening, I'd have to see it. I waited. He looked at me. I'm sorry I couldn't be there was easier than I'm sorry you couldn't. That was not an apology. It was closer to one than anything else he had said. We finished sorting the records. 10 minutes became nearly 2 hours. When Paul left, he carried the albums that belonged to him and one of mine. You're taking Otis Redding, I said. You said it was mine. I said that 12 years ago. So, we agree, bring it back dry. He paused at his car. I don't know when I'll want to talk again, he said. You can decide. You won't call? I'll call if I want to speak to you. You can answer or not. That's annoyingly reasonable. I can make it worse if that helps. He put the crate in his trunk and drove away. Elaine was at the kitchen table when I came inside. She had not asked what we discussed, and I knew the restraint had cost her. "How is he?" she asked. "Sad," I said, more honest than usual. "And you?" "The same, probably." She pushed the coffee pot toward me. It had gone lukewarm. This time, I poured a cup anyway. The coffee was terrible. It had sat on the warmer long enough to become bitter, but I drank the entire cup without mentioning it. Elaine noticed. She noticed everything I didn't say now. "Did Paul apologize?" she asked. "Not exactly." "Did you?" "Yes." Her eyebrows rose. "It happens. I wasn't aware. I try to keep it special." She smiled into her mug. "What did you apologize for?" "That's between Paul and me." The smile disappeared. "I'm not trying to interfere. I know. I'm his mother. I know that too. You used to tell me everything." "No. I used to tell you enough that you could continue the conversation for me." Elaine leaned back. "You make it sound manipulative. It was convenient. For whom?" "All of us, until it wasn't." She traced a thumb along the rim of her mug. "Do you think I should call him, if you want to speak to him? Is he expecting me to?" "I don't know. Would it help?" "I don't know. You could try giving one answer." I did. "Call if you want to speak to him. You really intend to keep this up. I'm not trying to make your life harder. And yet, you have a gift." That one deserved a response, but I let it go. Elaine called Paul from the sunroom. She closed the door, then opened it again before the call connected. I understood the gesture. She was not inviting me to listen. She was refusing to make privacy look like conspiracy. I went upstairs and pushed the guest room drawer closed. The blue corner disappeared. By the middle of the week, our house had developed new roots. Elaine used the upstairs hall bathroom in the morning rather than passing the guest room on her way to ours. I dressed downstairs after showering so I wouldn't wake her while getting clothes from the closet. We were considerate in all the ways people become considerate when intimacy is too dangerous. We still ate dinner together. The first night, Elaine made baked chicken and put 2 plates on the table without asking. I sat. The second night, I made spaghetti. And she sat. We discussed the water bill, a neighbor's missing recycling bin, and whether the brown patch near the mailbox was fungus. On Wednesday, she said, "Rachel has made a reservation for Saturday." I wound spaghetti around my fork. I told her I don't want a birthday dinner. She thinks if we all sit down together, we can talk. Then she should call it a meeting. Nobody attends a family meeting voluntarily, exactly. Paul said he might come. Did he say that to you or Rachel? To Rachel. Then Rachel can make plans with Paul. Elaine put down her fork. "What would make you go?" "I don't know. That's becoming your answer to everything. It's better than making one up. Do you want everyone to apologize?" "Yes." "Publicly?" "No." "In writing?" "No." "Then what?" "I want them to mean it before they need me to accept it." "How are they supposed to prove that?" "They aren't." Elaine stared at me. "I'm not asking for proof," I said. "I'm asking not to be placed in front of another cake so the first one becomes a funny family story." "Nobody thinks it's funny. Paul had good material." She tried not to smile. "That wasn't his best. He's out of practice." The smile came and went. "Rachel ordered the same flavor," she said. I set down my fork. She already ordered a cake, apparently, before I agreed to come. She was trying to make it right. By arranging another evening without asking me, "This one includes you. That does improve it." Elaine pushed her plate away. "You want her to fail?" "No. I think part of you does. Because if she does everything wrong, you never have to decide when it's enough." That accusation followed me into the guest room. I lay awake thinking about the replacement cake. I pictured Rachel on the bakery website choosing white frosting, red lettering, and the same almond filling she had ordered the first time because she had once heard me say I liked it. The truth was I didn't particularly like almond filling. I had complimented a cake she bought 5 years earlier, and the compliment had become family law. I could have gone Saturday. I could have sat in my chair, accepted the card, let Paul make a joke about gravity, and spared everyone another week of discomfort. I didn't want to. That was not the same as being unable to, though I had spent several days treating it that way. Saturday arrived with cold rain that turned the driveway black. At 4:30, Elaine showered and began getting dressed. I heard closet doors opening in our bedroom. At 5, she came downstairs in dark green slacks and the cream sweater with the blue icing stain. She had washed it twice. A faint shadow remained near the cuff. "You're wearing that?" I asked. "I like this sweater. I didn't say you shouldn't." You looked at the sleeve. I looked at the sleeve. She held up a pair of earrings. "Gold or silver?" "Gold." "Why?" "They look better." "Is that an opinion or a ruling?" "An opinion." She put on the silver pair. At 5:15, my phone rang. "Rachel, are you dressed?" she asked. "Yes." "For dinner?" "I'm always dressed by 5:15. "Dad, I told you I'm not coming." "I thought you changed your mind." "I haven't." "The reservation is at 6:30. Then you have time to adjust the number. The cake feeds 10. That seems optimistic. We can't keep doing this." "I agree." "Then come." "No." Her breath caught. "Everyone is trying." "Are they?" "Yes, Mom's coming. Dana's coming. Adrian said he would come if Paul does, which he might. I spent all day cooking." "You made a reservation." "For drinks first. We were coming back here for dinner." "Does Dana know?" "Of course Dana knows." The answer was too fast. "Is she there?" "No." "Rachel, she said she'd be home by 6. "Where is she?" "At her studio." "Does she plan to come?" "I don't know. She says the dinner isn't an apology if the only acceptable ending is you forgiving us." "Dana said that?" "She has a lot of opinions now." "What did you say?" "I said she wasn't the one who was excluded." "No. She was the one who came and told me the truth." Rachel went quiet. "I'm not taking her side," I said. "Everybody says that right before they take a side. I love you. I'm not coming to dinner." "You don't get to use 'I love you' like it erases the rest." "No, I don't." "Mom thinks you might leave her." "I've told your mother I'm not planning to." "You sleep in another room." "That's between your mother and me." "Nothing is between two people in this family. That's the whole problem." It was the most Rachel sentence anyone had ever spoken. I heard her begin to cry. "I'm sorry you're hurt," I said. "No, you're not. I am." "Then come." "I can be sorry and still say no." She hung up. Elaine stood in the doorway to the den, her coat over one arm. "You told her you loved her?" she said. "I do." She didn't hear it. "I know. You could go for 1 hour. I could, but you won't." "No." She put on her coat. I looked at the silver earrings, the sweater cuff, the purse she held with both hands. "Do you want to go?" I asked. "I don't want to choose between you." "That isn't what I asked." Her eyes narrowed. "You sound pleased with yourself." "I'm not." "You've decided directness is the answer to everything, and now the rest of us have to bleed honestly. You were bleeding before. You just put towels over it. And there." Another perfect sentence. "I wish it were." Elaine opened the front door. Rain hissed against the porch. She stood there for several seconds, then closed it again. "What are you doing?" I asked. "I don't know. You'll be late." "I know." She took out her phone and called Rachel. I could hear the ringing from where I sat. "Hi," Elaine said when Rachel answered. "I'm not coming," a burst of Rachel's voice. "No, your father didn't ask me to stay." More voice. "Because this dinner is supposed to make him forgive us, and nobody has asked what he needs before deciding how he should do it." Elaine listened. Her face crumpled, then hardened. "No. He isn't turning me against you. I am your mother, and I lied to my husband. Those are both true at the same time." She ended the call before Rachel could answer. Her hand shook as she placed the phone on the entry table. "You didn't have to do that," I said. "Yes, I did." "For me?" "For me." She removed her coat. Then she took off the silver earrings and set them beside her phone. "What happens now?" I asked. "Rachel hates me. Dana may not show up. Paul was never coming, according to Paul." "He called you?" "This afternoon?" "Why didn't you tell Rachel?" "Paul said he would." We looked at each other. "You're learning," I said. "Don't grade me. Sorry." She sank onto the bottom stair. "I've spent 40 years making sure nobody leaves the table. You're good at it. I'm exhausted." I sat beside her. The stair was narrow, and our shoulders touched. Neither of us moved away. "Do you know why I started explaining you?" she asked. "No?" "At a restaurant, maybe 6 months after we married. The waitress brought you the wrong meal. You said, very calmly, that it wasn't what you ordered. She looked terrified. I told her you weren't angry. I probably wasn't. You were furious. I wouldn't have been furious over food. You had worked 12 hours. Your father had called you useless that morning. The meal was one more thing not listening to you. I remembered the restaurant. I remembered the plate. I did not remember telling Elaine about my father's call. You knew? You forget that I know things too. She wiped rainwater from the toe of her shoe, though she had never stepped outside. After that, I started telling people what was underneath your face, she said. Then you stopped telling me when I got it wrong. I thought you were better at it. I was. That doesn't mean it should have been my job. I'm sorry. She leaned her head against the banister. I thought if I stayed calm, I wasn't hurting anyone, I said. You made me be the weather. We sat with that. At 6:40, the old family chat chimed. Rachel had posted a photograph of the replacement cake, still inside its box. Dinner canceled, she wrote. No one responded. I didn't feel victorious. I felt like a man staring at a second cake he had not been invited to choose. Elaine stood and held out her hand. What? I asked. I'm hungry. So am I. We have chicken. We always have chicken. Then come eat with me. Not because it fixes anything. I took her hand and stood. We ate in the kitchen instead of the dining room. The cream sweater stayed on, blue stain and all. When Elaine asked if the chicken was dry, I told her it was. She laughed so hard she nearly cried again. The next morning, the replacement cake arrived at our house. Rachel carried it against her chest like something she had rescued from a fire. The bakery box was damp along one edge from the rain. She came through the front door without waiting for an invitation, walked into the kitchen, and set it on the counter hard enough to rattle the silverware drawer. There, she said. You can decide what happens to it. Elaine was at the sink in her robe. I was cutting an orange. I thought dinner was canceled, I said. It was. Then the cake has exceeded expectations. Rachel glared at me. Her hair was loose, which made her look younger and more tired. She wore the same navy raincoat from the garage, now spotted dark at the shoulders. Dana didn't come home until midnight, she said. Elaine dried her hands. Where was she? Her studio. She turned off her phone. Did you talk when she got home? Not really. Do you want coffee? No, Mom, I don't want coffee. I want one conversation in this family that doesn't begin with somebody offering a beverage. Elaine put down the towel. All right. Rachel looked surprised that she had obeyed. I separated an orange segment from the membrane. Why did you bring the cake? Because I don't want it in my house. You could take it to work. It has your name on it. So did the first one. I know. The words cracked. Elaine moved toward her. Rachel stepped back. Don't, she said. Elaine stopped. Her hands hung awkwardly at her sides. Rachel looked from her mother to me. You made her choose. I told her to decide whether she wanted to go. You knew she'd stay. I didn't. Of course you did. You sit there saying you're not asking for anything, while everybody tears themselves apart, trying to guess what will satisfy you. Nothing about last night satisfied me. Dana thinks it was brave. Dana thought, what was brave? Mom staying home. Me being left with enough food for 8 people and a cake nobody wanted. Elaine's face tightened. I didn't leave you. I called and told you I wasn't coming. After you were dressed and standing at the door, I changed my mind because Dad looked wounded, because I realized the dinner was for us, not him. Rachel gave a sharp laugh. Everything is for him now. That's not fair, Elaine said. No? We're all supposed to identify our role in Dad's birthday trauma. Dana has decided she's the whistleblower. Paul is having private garage therapy. You're sleeping alone to prove you're sorry. I didn't ask her to sleep alone, I said. You don't ask. That's the trick. I put down the knife. Rachel, Elaine warned. No, he wants direct conversation. Here it is. She unbuttoned her raincoat but did not take it off, as though even her anger had an exit plan. Do you know what Dana said last night? She asked me. She said I created a whole system where everyone has to agree with me because I'm terrified of being the bad daughter. What did you say? I said she created a whole system where every problem becomes a reason to sleep at her studio. That sounds like a productive evening. Martin, Elaine said, I'm sorry. Rachel looked at the orange. You always say sorry when you mean I acknowledge that you disliked what I said. Sometimes. See? Yes. No, don't agree with me like that. I don't know what you want. I want you to fight back. Why? Because then I can be angry. You're doing well without permission. She turned away, pressing a hand to her mouth. Elaine took one step forward, stopped herself, and looked at me as if waiting for instructions. I shook my head. Not because I didn't want her to comfort Rachel, because I didn't know whether Rachel wanted it, and because Elaine needed to make that decision without my face becoming another weather report. "Do you want me to stay?" Elaine asked her. Rachel lowered her hand. "What? Do you want to talk to both of us, or do you want to talk to your father?" "I don't know. That's allowed." Rachel stared at her mother. Elaine picked up her coffee. "I'm going upstairs to shower. If you want me, call my name." She left. Rachel watched the doorway after she was gone. "She's acting strange. She's trying not to manage us. I don't like it. Neither does she. I thought this was your big idea. It's not working the way I expected." "What did you expect?" "I thought people would say what they meant. People don't know what they mean. I'm learning that." She took off her raincoat at last and draped it over a chair. Underneath, she wore black leggings and an old university sweatshirt with a cracked white logo. She looked less prepared without the coat. I pushed the plate of orange segments toward her. "I don't want a beverage," she said. "It's an orange. I don't want hospitality. Then consider it available fruit." She took a segment. We ate in silence for a minute. The cake sat between us, its lid fogged near one corner. "What did you mean when you said I don't ask?" I said. Rachel chewed slowly. "You do things. That narrows it down. You do things nobody asked you to do, then you expect that to count when someone's hurt. Such as, you really want examples? Yes. That's part of it. You make people produce evidence. I'm asking so I can understand. You'll explain each one. I'll try not to." She folded her arms. "When Dana and I moved into our house, you came over while we were at work and reorganized the garage. You asked me to install shelves. We asked you to install shelves. We came home and every tool, paint can, and storage bin had been labeled. You had solvents beside the water heater, 1 can of mineral spirits, which is a solvent." Her eyes closed. "I'm sorry," I said. "Continue. When Paul lost his sales job 8 years ago, you called me every morning to see if he had gotten out of bed. I was worried. You didn't call him. He wasn't answering. So you made him my responsibility." I opened my mouth, then shut it. "When Mom had her knee replaced," Rachel continued, "you handled the medication and appointments. I handled everyone who wanted updates because you said I was good with people. When Grandma moved out of her apartment, you packed all the boxes and gave me the list of relatives I was supposed to call. When Paul and Adrian almost split the first time, you told me to invite them to dinner because they listened to me. I thought you liked helping. You liked me helping." Her voice stayed calm now, which made it harder to resist. "You always called me dependable," she said. "The easy one. Your right hand. Do you know what that means when you're the daughter?" I thought of all the times I had said it as praise. At her wedding, I had toasted the fact that Rachel could run a room without raising her voice. Dana had smiled, but Rachel had looked down at her champagne. "It means you don't get to fall apart," she said. "Because if you do, who's left? I didn't know you felt that way. I tried to tell you." "When?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "There. That's what you do. Give me a date and time, Rachel. Show me the transcript. I'm sorry. You always had something practical to offer, a contractor, a checklist, a ride. You never just said, 'That sounds hard.' That sounds hard. Don't. I meant it. 20 years late. I don't know how to make it earlier." Her face crumpled. She pulled out a chair and sat. I wanted to move closer. I did not trust the impulse. Helping had become so automatic that I could no longer tell whether I was offering comfort or trying to stop her distress because it made me uncomfortable. I sat across from her. "Was the birthday dinner about that?" I asked. "Partly." "What was the other part?" "Paul needed one night. And you?" She wiped her cheek. "I wanted to be the person who decided. The admission came out small. Decided what, who came, what we ate, whether we talked about Paul and Adrian, whether a joke was allowed to stay a joke. You planned plenty of dinners before." "Not really. You'd ask what time, then tell me why traffic would make that time difficult. I'd choose food, then you'd bring something in case there wasn't enough. You never took over. You just made sure nothing could happen without accounting for you." I looked at the cake box. "So you accounted for me by removing me?" "Yes." "Did it feel good?" She took a long breath. "For about an hour." That answer hurt more than a denial would have. "Then the cake came out," she said. "And I knew we had turned you into somebody who was dead. The kitchen seemed to lose its air. You put my name on a card while I was alive down the road," I said. "I know." Paul lied in it. "I know." You took the picture? She nodded. Why? Mom wanted one. That's not why you took it. Rachel stared through the fogged plastic window. Because everybody was laughing. It looked like proof that I had made something work. Without me? Yes. Upstairs, a pipe knocked as Elaine turned on the shower. Rachel took another orange segment and peeled away a string of white pith with unnecessary care. You like being needed, she said, more than you like being loved. I looked at my hands. There was orange juice in the lines of my fingers. I'm not sure I know the difference, I said. She began crying again, quietly this time. I reached for a paper napkin and slid it across the table. Halfway there, I nearly laughed at myself. Rachel did laugh. Very direct, she said. I considered asking Mom to give it to you. That would have been on brand. She took the napkin. I am sorry I made you responsible for everybody, I said. You're still doing it. How? You're apologizing like I'm the only one who can tell you what happens next. I sat back. What would not doing it look like? I don't know. Good. We're building a family vocabulary. She shook her head, but the corner of her mouth moved. When she stood to leave, the cake remained on the counter. You forgot something, I said. No, I didn't. What do you expect me to do with it? Decide? That seems pointed. It is. She put on her raincoat. At the door, she turned. I'm not ready to say I was cruel. All right, I was wrong. All right, that's all I have today. Then that's what you have. After she left, Elaine came downstairs with wet hair. How much did you hear? I asked. Enough to know I've been blaming you for turning her into me. I looked at her. That sounded better in my head, she said. The cake stayed unopened until dinner. Elaine finally cut 2 thin slices. The almond filling was too sweet. The frosting was too thick, and neither of us said so. Before bed, Dana sent me a message. I'm home. Rachel and I talked. We're not fixed, but I'm home. I answered, I'm glad. Then I placed my phone face down and left the rest of their marriage to them. The second cake lasted 5 days. Elaine wrapped each slice separately in wax paper and placed them in a plastic container labeled chicken stock, which guaranteed nobody would open it by accident. Every evening after dinner, one of us took out a slice and divided it. By Thursday, all that remained was a corner with blue icing and the number 8. Do you want it? She asked. No, neither do I. We could throw it away. She looked at me. Could we? It had become a ridiculous question. The entire disaster began because 5 adults claimed cake could not be wasted. Now, Elaine and I stood over the trash can with a 2-inch piece of evidence neither of us wanted to discard. I lifted the lid. She dropped it in. Look at us, I said, reckless. We'll be buying motorcycles next. You'd compare safety ratings for 6 months. I'd still buy one. No, you'd buy a sensible hatchback and a leather jacket. She laughed, and I did too. We were getting good at those moments. 10 seconds of familiarity, then one of us remembered the guest room, and the air changed. I still slept there. The garment bag on the closet door had begun to feel like part of the furniture. I had moved enough shirts downstairs that I no longer entered our bedroom every morning. Elaine stopped making 1 cup of coffee and started filling the machine to 4. Some mornings I drank what she made. Other mornings I didn't. Neither of us commented. Paul called on Friday. I'm going to be near you around noon, he said. Do you want lunch? Are you asking me or reporting geography? Forget it. I want lunch. You make invitations exhausting. I'm available at noon. Diner? Yes. Fine. He hung up. Kelsey was behind the counter when we arrived. The yellow pencil had been replaced by a red one, though it still appeared to be the only thing holding her hair together. Marty, she said. You brought backup. This is my son, Paul. She looked at him. My condolences. Paul smiled. You must be Kelsey. I glanced at him. What? He said. Rachel mentioned the waitress responsible for your emotional welfare. I told Rachel one story, and now we all know. That's how family works. Kelsey handed us menus. I'm responsible for toast and selective empathy. Emotional welfare costs extra. Paul ordered a turkey club. I ordered meatloaf, and Kelsey said, branch out, Marty, before walking away. She calls you Marty? Paul asked. She made a labeling error. And you let it stand? I'm growing. He looked around the diner. This is where you ate? Yes. Alone? Unless you count Kelsey. I doubt Kelsey counts Kelsey. We sat in a booth by the window. A delivery truck idled in the parking lot, making the silverware tremble slightly on the table. Paul folded his paper napkin into smaller and smaller squares. Adrian wants to meet next week, he said. What for? To go through the rest of the accounts and decide what happens with the condo. Do you want advice? He stopped folding. What? I'm asking whether you want advice. Oh. He looked suspicious. No. All right, you can have an opinion. I have several. I'm sure. I won't give them to you. That feels threatening. It's not. You're sitting there full of opinions. I'm always full of opinions. That's true. Kelsey dropped 2 waters on the table. Who's winning? Neither of us, Paul said. Healthy. She left. Paul unfolded the napkin, found he had creased it beyond repair, and took another. I want to ask Adrian if he's sure, he said. About the condo? About us. I drank water. You can say something. You said you didn't want advice. I don't. I want a reaction. I'm sorry. That sounds painful. He studied my face as if looking for a concealed attachment. That's it? For the moment. It sounds like something printed on a sympathy card. I'm new at this. He looked down. I keep thinking if I say the right thing, he'll remember the good parts. He remembers them. How do you know? Leaving someone doesn't erase memory. Paul's eyes lifted. I know you didn't ask for advice, I said. That wasn't advice. Good. He says he loves me. I believe him. He's still leaving. Those can both be true. Paul leaned back. Mom says that now. Says what? 2 things can be true. She said she can be sorry she lied to you and still be glad I talked to Adrian. She told me the same thing. Did you accept it? I heard it. That's not what I asked. No? See? You do it too. Do what? Leave the door open just enough that everybody has to keep standing there. Kelsey arrived with our plates. She placed the meatloaf in front of Paul and the turkey club in front of me. Wrong, I said. She looked at the plates. Are you sure? I've spent my life preparing for this moment. Paul slid the meatloaf toward me. He can tell you the exact meal you got wrong in 1983. Good, Kelsey said. I'm busy. She walked away. Paul picked up half his sandwich. I'm not saying you should forgive Mom. It sounded like you were. I'm saying she doesn't know what to do. Neither do I. But she's trying. So am I. She thinks you're waiting to see whether she'll choose you over us. I don't want her to choose me over you. You wanted her to stay home last Saturday. I wanted her to decide whether she wanted to go. That's still a choice. Everything is a choice, Paul. People say that when they want credit for not giving an ultimatum. I set down my fork. He waited for me to correct him. I'll think about that, I said. He took a bite of sandwich, still watching me. After a while, I asked, Do you regret coming to dinner that night? My answer will hurt you. I assume that's why you haven't answered. He looked through the window at the idling truck. No, he said. I don't regret going. I nodded. I regret how, he added. I regret the cake. I regret the card. I regret letting everybody lie for me. But Adrian and I said things we should have said a year ago. And now he's leaving. Yes. Did the conversation help? It ended the pretending. That may have been the only thing left to help. Paul looked at me. That was almost comforting. I'll try to avoid a pattern. He finished half the sandwich and wrapped the other half in a napkin to take home. When the check came, we both reached for it. I invited you, he said. You said you'd be near me. Then I asked if you wanted lunch. After I clarified, let me pay. I let go of the check. He stared at my empty hand. That was disturbingly easy. Don't ruin it. Outside, Paul stood beside his car, turning his keys around one finger. Are we okay? He asked. No. His hand stopped. We're better than we were, I said. Most people would start with that. Most people don't have my gift. He smiled. Call me after you meet Adrian, I said. If you want, I might. He drove away with the Otis Redding record still visible on his back seat. When I got home, Elaine was at the dining room table with her laptop open. A pale blue invitation filled the screen. At the top was a photograph from our 30th anniversary. Elaine laughing while I looked at something outside the frame. 42 years of Martin Elaine. Below that, please join us for dinner and dancing in the river room. Dancing? I asked. Elaine closed the laptop halfway. June called. My sister? She wanted to know whether she should reserve a hotel. For our anniversary dinner? Apparently it's larger than we thought. How large? Rachel invited 22 people. I pulled out a chair. Who were the other 16? June and Carl, my sister and Ron, The Hoffmans. People from the old neighborhood. 2 couples from your retirement group. I don't have a retirement group. The men you eat breakfast with once a month. Those are men who sit near me while eating eggs. Rachel calls them your retirement group. Rachel needs fewer labels. Elaine opened the laptop again. The invitation included gold script, a photograph of the riverfront restaurant, and a sentence asking guests to submit a favorite memory of us. Did you know about this? I asked. I knew she reserved the river room. I thought it was dinner for the 6 of us. 8 if Adrian came. I don't think Adrian's coming. That solves 1 chair. Martin, I'm thinking logistically. Don't use that word. I scrolled down. The event included cocktails, dinner, speeches, and something called a memory presentation. Has this already been sent? I asked. Yes. When? Before your birthday. Who approved the photograph? Nobody. In the picture, I'm looking at a waiter dropping a tray. I remember. I looked distracted. You were distracted. At least it's accurate. Elaine turned the laptop toward herself. We need to decide what to do. I don't want to go. Her shoulders stiffened. You haven't thought about it. I've thought about the smaller version. This isn't another birthday. No, it's another event organized around us without us. She was trying to do something kind, I know. She started planning months ago. I know. 22 people have arranged their schedules. I know. Stop saying that. What would you like me to say? I'd like you to acknowledge that canceling will affect people. It will. And I still don't want to stand in front of 22 people celebrating a marriage whose bedroom I haven't slept in for 3 weeks. Elaine closed the laptop. So we cancel, she said, if that's what you want. Her eyes flashed. There. You do it again. What? You place the choice in my hands and step back far enough to claim you never pushed. I said I don't want to go. And if I do, then you should. To our anniversary party by myself, it would be memorable. She stood. This is exactly what Paul meant. I had lunch with Paul. Please don't tell me what he meant. I mean it too. You keep every door open an inch and make the rest of us stand there. The diner conversation came back to me. What do you want me to do? I asked. Fight for something. I am. What? My right not to pretend? What about us? I don't know what us is right now. Elaine looked as though I had struck her. I rose too quickly, bumping the table. The laptop screen tilted back. That came out wrong? No, it came out accurately. Your favorite kind. She walked into the kitchen. I followed, but stopped at the doorway. I know I love you, I said. She gripped the counter with both hands. You loved being useful to Rachel. You loved being right with Paul. Maybe you love being married to me, because I made everybody understand you. That isn't all we are. You said the same thing to Rachel. She told you? No. I heard you through the ceiling. Of course she had. I need you to tell me what you want, she said. I want you to stop asking how to get me back into our room. Elaine turned. I want you to tell me why you want me there. Her expression softened, then hardened again. You know why? No, I know what you wrote in a card. That was true. It was sitting beside a cake you ate without me. Both were true. The room stayed quiet long enough for the refrigerator motor to start. You are still my favorite person to come home to, she said. You are also the person I sometimes need to recover from. There it was. Not the answer I wanted, the one I believed. I don't know how to be both, I said. You already are. She left the kitchen. On the dining room table, the anniversary invitation glowed on the open screen, asking everyone we knew for their favorite memory of a marriage neither of us knew how to enter. I left the invitation open and went upstairs. The guest room was cold. I had closed the vent 2 winters earlier because nobody slept there often enough to justify heating it. That was exactly the sort of efficient decision that became foolish once circumstances changed. I opened the vent. At 1 a.m, Elaine knocked. You're awake, she said through the door. So are you. She came in wearing her blue robe and carrying the birthday card. I had left the dresser drawer open again. She sat in the chair where I had piled the decorative pillows, except the pillows were now stacked neatly in the closet. At some point, one of us had admitted I was staying. You hid this under pillowcases, she said. I put it in a drawer. That's what hiding is when you know where the thing is. I didn't know what else to do with it. Dana shouldn't have brought it. Because Paul lied in it? Because she knew it would hurt you. Not bringing it wouldn't change what was written. No. It would change whether you had to hold it. She ran her thumb over the front of the card. The gray-haired cartoon man looked pleased with himself. "Were you ever going to give it to me?" I asked. "We all signed it. I thought Rachel had it. That isn't an answer." Elaine gave me a tired look. "I don't know. Maybe next Saturday before that fell apart. Maybe I would have bought a different card and thrown this one away." "Yes." The word surprised both of us. Why? Because it's ugly. The card? What we did. I sat on the edge of the bed. Throwing it away wouldn't change that. "I know. You've established your position on facts." She looked toward the open vent. "You fixed the heat. I turned a lever. You can't help yourself." "No." We sat in silence. Then she asked, "Were you ever going to come back to our room?" "I don't know. Are you waiting for me to earn it?" "No. It feels like you are. I don't want getting back into bed to become the moment everything is forgiven. A bed isn't a verdict, Martin. It can be. Only if you make it one." She placed the card on the dresser. "I'm not asking you to forgive me tonight. I'm asking whether you still want a marriage." "Yes." "Then why do I have to come to this room to find you?" "Because in our room, I know where everything goes." Elaine frowned. "My watch goes on the left side of the dresser. Your book goes on the floor, even though you own a nightstand. You complain that my feet are cold. I tell you, yours are colder. We go to sleep." I looked at the unfamiliar pillow behind me. I'm afraid if I go back, routine will carry us over this before we decide what it means. Maybe routine isn't the enemy. It helped us ignore a lot. It also kept us married. "Did it?" She flinched. "I'm not saying it didn't," I added. "I'm saying I don't know how much credit it gets. You make marriage sound like one of your boxes. Check for structural integrity before stacking. That box was wet." She laughed despite herself, then covered her eyes. "I hate that you're still funny," she said. "I'm having a difficult week too." She lowered her hands. "Will you walk with me tomorrow morning?" "Where?" "Around the neighborhood." "How far? Why does that matter?" "Shoes. Wear shoes that can manage uncertainty." She stood. At the door, she looked back at the card. "Keep it," I said. "I don't want it. Neither do I." She left it on the dresser between us. We walked the next morning. Elaine wore white sneakers that had never encountered mud. I wore the pair she called my orthopedic crimes. We made it 3 blocks before she complained about my pace. "You walk like somebody is timing you," she said. "Nobody is stopping you from keeping up. This was my idea. That doesn't determine speed." She took my arm and pulled me to a stop. "Look." A red maple near the corner had begun dropping leaves. The sidewalk beneath it was bright enough to look artificial. Elaine stood there holding my sleeve as if she had caught me trying to leave the season early. "I saw it," I said. "You glanced at it. I've seen trees, not this one, today." That was how she moved through the world. Elaine believed attention was a form of gratitude. I believed noticing a problem created an obligation to solve it. Between us, a tree had rarely been allowed to remain a tree. "It's nice," I said. "Strong, it's beautiful, better." We kept walking, slower. At the end of the block, she said, "I don't want 22 people at our anniversary. Neither do I. I might want 6. I don't. I know." "Do you?" She sighed. "I want the 6 of us to be able to sit at a table again. That's not the same as wanting them at our anniversary." "No. What do you want the anniversary to be?" "I don't know yet." "Then we shouldn't let Rachel decide, because she knows how to use invitation software." "Agreed." We passed the maple again on the way home. This time, I stopped first. Elaine looked at me. "I'm trying," I said. "I know." The party continued to grow without us. June called to ask whether the restaurant had an elevator because Carl's hip had been bothering him. The Hoffmans sent Elaine a photograph from a camping trip we took in 1991. My alleged retirement group submitted a memory about the time I repaired a coffee machine during breakfast and saved the waitress from replacing it. "That's their favorite memory of me?" I asked. "You charge them for parts. It needed a fuse." Elaine scrolled through the messages Rachel had collected. Nearly every story about me involved fixing, carrying, driving, remembering, or preventing something. Nearly every story about Elaine involved feeding, comforting, translating, or forgiving. "We sound like household appliances," she said. "Reliable ones." "Do you know what my sister submitted?" "No." Elaine read from the screen. Elaine always knew how to bring Martin back into the room when he disappeared inside himself. That's nice. I hated it. You did? Everyone thought it was romantic that I could reach you. Nobody asked why you made me come looking. I had no defense that did not begin with an explanation. I let the silence stay. Thank you, she said. For what? For not telling me what I misunderstood about my own sister's memory. That was difficult. I could tell. Paul called that afternoon. The meeting with Adrian had lasted 4 hours. They had divided the remaining accounts, decided Paul would keep the condo through the end of the year, and argued for 20 minutes about a lamp neither of them liked. He took it, Paul said. Good. I thought you weren't giving advice. That was celebration. He also took the jazz record. Dana will be disappointed. Dana said she didn't want it. Then why did we give it to her? You gave it to her based on beret evidence. That remains strong. Paul went quiet. You all right? I asked. No, I'm here. You don't have to say anything. All right. We stayed on the phone without speaking. I could hear cars passing near him, and once the hollow clink of ice in a glass. 5 minutes went by. Maybe more. Finally he said, This is weird, yes, but not bad. No. Mom says you're walking now. Your mother shares information like a regional newspaper. She sounded better. She can tell you how she is. I talked to her first. Then why are you asking me? I'm not. I'm telling you she sounded better, right. You're not good at this. I'm improving. He called again 2 days later. Not for advice. Not because something had broken. He called to say the condo sounded different without Adrian's music. I told him the guest room sounded different from our bedroom. We discussed room acoustics for 10 minutes and feelings for perhaps 2, which was progress. Rachel did not call me. She communicated through the old family chat, posting updates about the anniversary as if the event belonged to a small corporation. Menu finalized. Slideshow deadline extended. River room available at 5:30 for setup. Dana reacted to none of them. 4 days before the anniversary, Elaine stood in the guest room doorway while I buttoned my shirt. We have to cancel, she said. I thought we decided. We decided we don't want it. We haven't canceled. Rachel won't like it. I know. People have plans. I know. The restaurant may keep the deposit. I know. I looked at her. Sorry, she said. It's an effective word when used correctly. Are you asking me to call? No. Do you want me with you when you do? No. The answer came quickly but not defensively. I need to tell Rachel myself, she said, not as your wife, as her mother. All right, and I need to cancel the restaurant. All right, stop looking relieved. I am relieved. I know, I still resent it. Both can be true. Don't steal my material. She left. I heard her call Rachel from the dining room. She did not use speakerphone. I stayed upstairs, though Elaine's voice carried through the vent. I'm canceling the party, she said. A long stretch of Rachel talking followed. No, your father didn't make me. More talking. Because I don't want to stand in a room while 22 people tell stories about a marriage I'm not being honest inside. Rachel's voice rose enough that I heard my name. This is not about choosing Martin over you. Another pause. No. Listen to me. I let you make our family your responsibility. I praised you for it because it made my life easier. I am sorry. But I'm not going to apologize by letting you keep doing it. Silence. Then Elaine said, The invitations were beautiful. She began to cry. That doesn't mean the party is right. The call lasted another 20 minutes. When it ended, Elaine called the restaurant. She was polite, accepted the cancellation fee without bargaining, and declined 3 offers to move the reservation to another date. Then she sat at the table for a long time. I came downstairs but did not enter the room until she looked up. Done, she said. How are you? Awful. I sat across from her. You were right, she said. About what? The event. It was a demonstration. I waited. You can enjoy this a little, she said. I don't. That's annoying. I'm sorry. No, you're not. No. She smiled weakly. What do you want to do on our anniversary? I asked. I made another reservation. My stomach tightened. For 2, she said, at the diner. Kelsey will expect a tip. We'll budget. Meatloaf, pie. That isn't dinner. It was on your birthday. I looked at her. The diner where we had our first date closed 20 years ago, she said. This one will have to do. What are we celebrating? I don't know. She held my gaze. But I'd like to meet you there and find out. Why meet? Because I don't want to arrive as the couple everyone thinks we are. She reached across the table, then stopped with her hand between us. Come as yourself, she said. I'll do the same. I put my hand over hers. All right, our anniversary was still 4 days away. For the first time since my birthday, I wanted the days to move faster. The cancellation notice went out the next morning. Rachel wrote it. She did not blame the restaurant, the weather, or a sudden illness. She said, Martin and Elaine have decided to celebrate privately this year. Thank you for understanding. I read it 3 times, searching for the sentence beneath the sentence. Elaine looked over my shoulder. Anything? No. You sound disappointed. I'm impressed. You could tell her. I will. June called before I had the chance. Are you two getting divorced? She asked. Good morning, June. It's almost 11. I was preserving the spirit of the greeting. Elaine canceled a 42nd anniversary party 4 days before it happened. People are going to wonder. Let them. I am people. We're not getting divorced. Then what's wrong? I looked at Elaine. She was sitting at the kitchen table pretending not to listen while holding a newspaper she had not turned a page of in 10 minutes. We needed a smaller anniversary, I said. That sounds like divorce language. It's accurate language. Worse. June. Her voice softened. Are you all right? No. Elaine lowered the paper. I think we will be, I added. June was quiet for a moment. Do you need me? No, that isn't the same as not wanting me. I smiled. Apparently direct conversation was spreading across state lines. I want you to call me next week, I said. Not to investigate, just call. I can do that. And Carl's hip? He enjoys complaining about it more than he would enjoy treatment. That runs in your marriage. It runs in our family. She hung up after making me promise twice that no one had hired a lawyer. The Hoffmans sent flowers. My retirement group, still not a group, sent a card signed by the waitress at our usual breakfast place. Rachel said nothing to me directly, but she reacted to Elaine's thank you message with a heart. Paul called each of us separately. Dana sent a photograph of the river room from the restaurant's website with all the tables digitally removed. Looks peaceful, she wrote. Elaine laughed when I showed her. On the morning of our anniversary, we behaved as if we were preparing for separate job interviews. Elaine went to have her hair done. I got a haircut from a man named Sal, who had cut it for 14 years and still asked how I wanted it. Shorter, I said. How much? Enough that my wife notices, not enough that my sister asks if I'm sick. Sal nodded as if this were a standard measurement. At home, Elaine dressed in our bedroom while I dressed in the guest room. I wore the navy jacket she liked and changed my shirt twice. The first looked too formal. The second made me look like I was going to sell insurance. I returned to the first. We passed in the hallway at 5:30. Elaine wore a dark blue dress I had seen only once before, at Dana and Rachel's wedding. Her hair curled softly at her shoulders. She had chosen the gold earrings. You look beautiful, I said. She touched one earring. Opinion or ruling? Finding? You look handsome. I look overdressed for meatloaf. We agreed not to discuss the menu in advance. We didn't discuss anything in advance. That was the point. She picked up her purse. Should we take one car? I asked. Her expression shifted. No, I said. You wanted to meet. I did. I'll see you there. For 42 years, we had arrived together. Weddings, funerals, medical appointments, dinners where we knew everyone, dinners where we knew nobody. I had driven. Elaine had adjusted the heat, criticized my parking, and told me which person I had failed to greet. Following her car would have felt like cheating, so I waited 2 minutes before leaving. She was already in the diner when I arrived. Kelsey had given us the booth by the window and placed a battery-operated candle between 2 laminated menus. The flame flickered with the anxious energy of an electrical fault. Marty, she called, your date got here first. Elaine looked at me. Marty? It's a labeling error. Kelsey leaned against the counter. He's sensitive about his identity. I've noticed, Elaine said. I sat across from her. Kelsey handed me a menu. Separate checks? Elaine laughed. I did not. Kelsey looked between us. That was a joke. We're married, I said. That doesn't answer the question. 1 check, Elaine said. 42 years, Kelsey told me. She gets to decide. She decided after 4 seconds. Maybe that's the secret. Kelsey walked away. Elaine touched the plastic candle. Did you arrange this? No. I told them it was our anniversary when I made the reservation. You made a reservation at a diner? I wanted to be sure we got your emotionally significant booth. It's near the restroom. Emotions are complicated. We opened the menus, though both of us already knew what we would order. Elaine chose pot roast. I chose the turkey club. No meatloaf? She asked. I'm creating a new memory. That feels ambitious. Kelsey took our order and returned with 2 waters and a complimentary plate of onion rings. Anniversary vegetable, she said. For the first few minutes, we discussed the onion rings. They were too greasy. The batter needed salt. Elaine thought the onions were sliced too thick. I thought thickness was the only thing holding them together. We were 2 people standing at the edge of an ocean, evaluating beach equipment. Then Elaine folded her napkin and placed it beside her plate. I know what I thought you were doing, she said. I looked at her. When I lit the candles, the diner sounds seemed to recede. Silverware, conversation, the squeak of the kitchen door, all of it moved farther away. You asked me that night, she said. I didn't answer because the answer was worse than not knowing. What did you think? I thought you were home waiting for me. I held her gaze. I pictured you in the den, she continued. I knew you wouldn't call because you didn't want to make Paul's problem about you. I knew you'd find dinner. I knew you'd say it was fine when I came home. I was watching Walter Matthau. I know. How? You always watch that movie when you're disappointed. I wasn't aware of that. I was. Kelsey arrived with our meals. She sensed something at the table, set down the plates without commentary, and left. Elaine waited until she was gone. I knew you were alone, she said. I told myself you preferred quiet. I told myself birthdays didn't matter to you because you always say they're just dates. I used every calm thing you've ever said as permission not to care for you. I looked at the turkey sandwich. One slice had fallen sideways, exposing a layer of bacon. Why did you light the candles? Rachel said we should. I wanted the picture, Dana told me. I wanted it to look like a happy evening. If it looked happy, then maybe what we did had been worth it. For Paul, for all of us. Without me. Yes. She didn't cover the word. I laughed at the joke because it was funny, she said. I laughed at the frosting joke because everyone else did. Then I looked at your chair against the wall and I nearly left. But you stayed. Yes. Why? Because leaving would have made me the person who admitted we were doing something wrong. I wanted to be the wife who understood both sides. I wanted to be the mother who kept Paul in the room. I wanted to be forgiven before anyone accused me. She reached for her water, but did not drink. When I came home, I saw you at the table and knew immediately that I had betrayed you. Then I told you not to make it bigger because I couldn't bear the size it already was. My throat tightened. I am sorry I lied to you, she said. I am sorry I walked out of our house knowing where I was going and let you believe I was helping Rachel. I am sorry I ate your dinner, lit your candles, laughed beside your cake, and came home expecting your calmness to protect me from what I had done. I am sorry I called it peacekeeping. It wasn't peace. It was your absence. She began crying, but she did not look away. I don't want you to make it smaller, she said. I don't want you to tell me you understand. I understand. I chose the room where you weren't. There was nothing missing from the apology. No weather. No wasted food. No Paul needed us attached to the end. I reached across the table and took her hand. I ate coconut pie, I said. Elaine nodded, crying harder. The waitress put a candle in the bag. I didn't light it. I'm sorry, she wrote Marty on the box. That made her laugh through the tears. I hate her, she said. She's very supportive, I'm sure. We sat holding hands while our meals cooled. After a while, Elaine asked, Can you forgive me? I want to. That isn't yes. No. She nodded. I don't think forgiveness is one decision, I said. I think I'm going to remember that picture at inconvenient times. I know. I may ask questions you've already answered. You will. I may become precise. You're doing well so far. I don't want to punish you with it. I'll tell you if you are. You may tell me when I'm not. I might. Then we're in familiar territory. She smiled and squeezed my hand. I owe you an apology too, I said. This isn't an exchange. I know. Then eat something first. You think I can't apologize on an empty stomach? I think you'll get lightheaded and blame the lighting. I took a bite of the turkey club. She cut into the pot roast. We ate quietly for a few minutes. Then I said, I made you translate me. Elaine put down her fork. I let you explain my silences, soften my criticism, and repair whatever happened after I left a room. I told myself you were better with feelings. What I meant was that I didn't want to be responsible for mine. She listened. I made being calm into proof that I was the reasonable one, I continued. Then if anyone got angry, I could study their anger instead of what I had done. I helped without asking because being useful felt safer than finding out whether people wanted me. And when the help didn't buy closeness, I acted as if everyone else had broken an agreement they never made. Elaine's eyes filled again. I did that to Rachel, I said. I made her my deputy and called it praise. I did it to Paul whenever I turned a mistake into a diagnosis. I did it to you every time I let you carry the noise while I stood there looking injured by it. You were injured sometimes. Yes, that matters too. I know. Good, because I'm not accepting an apology where you turn yourself into the only villain. That's another way of controlling the story. I almost objected. Then I laughed. You've learned my methods, I said. I've had 42 years. Kelsey returned and looked at our plates. Everything terrible? The food is good, Elaine said. I meant the marriage. I stared at her. She raised both hands. You have been crying over pot roast for 20 minutes. I made an inference. We're working on it, Elaine said. Kelsey nodded. Pie? Yes, we said together. She brought 2 slices, coconut for me, apple for Elaine, and 1 striped candle laid across a clean saucer. I'm not lighting anything without written consent, she said. When she left, Elaine picked up the candle. No, I said. I wasn't going to light it. What were you going to do? Keep it. For what? Your 69th. I looked at her. If I'm invited, she added, you're planning 10 months ahead. I contain multitudes. We shared both slices. Elaine ate the coconut crust. I took the soft center of the apple. Rachel sent a message while we were finishing. Happy anniversary. I'm still angry. I love you both. Elaine showed me her phone. All 3 can be true, I said. You should tell her. Tomorrow. We paid 1 check and tipped Kelsey enough to damage her opinion of me. Outside, the air was cold and smelled like rain. Our cars sat on opposite sides of the lot. Do we drive home separately? Elaine asked. You wanted to arrive as ourselves. I did. Who are we leaving as? I don't know yet. I held out my hand. We stood beside her car holding hands while traffic moved along Route 9. There was no music, no river room, no memory presentation. Nobody took a photograph. Elaine stepped closer and kissed me. It was not the comfortable kiss we had exchanged at doors for years. It was careful, uncertain, and long enough that I forgot where I had parked. When we separated, she said, Come home with me. We live in the same house. Don't correct the invitation. I touched her cheek. I'll follow you, I said. At home, we met again in the upstairs hallway. The guest room door stood open. So did ours. Elaine waited. I'm not ready to move everything back, I said. I didn't ask you to. I went into our bedroom with only what I was wearing. The blue birthday card remained in the guest room. My shirt stayed downstairs. Nothing had been erased, and nothing was where it used to be. Elaine got into bed and opened her book. It fell to the floor within 5 minutes. I left it there. In the dark, she found my hand beneath the blanket. We did not call it normal. The first morning back in our room, I woke before Elaine and went downstairs. I filled the coffee machine to 4. When she came into the kitchen, she looked at the 2 mugs, then at me. Is this forgiveness? She asked. It's coffee. Good. It may also be over-extracted. There he is. She poured hers anyway. My clothes did not move upstairs all at once. 2 shirts appeared in our closet on Monday. Socks returned Wednesday. My razor stayed in the hall bathroom for another week because moving it felt like making an announcement neither of us wanted to hear. The guest room remained made. The blue card stayed in the dresser. Elaine and I began meeting for dinner every other Thursday. We drove separately at first. Sometimes we went to the diner, where Kelsey continued calling me Marty because correcting her had become less satisfying than being recognized. Sometimes we chose places we had never visited as a couple. We had one rule: no talking about Paul or Rachel for the first 20 minutes. The first time, we lasted 6. By December, we could finish an appetizer. Direct conversation did not heal the family. Mostly, it made our problems more efficiently delivered. When Paul called Elaine and asked what I meant by a message, she said, "Your father has a phone." He called me and said, "Mom is becoming difficult." "She's always been difficult," I said. "You're experiencing her without translation. That isn't how translation works. Talk to her." He did. When Rachel asked me to look at a crack above her kitchen doorway, I asked whether she wanted advice, labor, or reassurance. "I want you to tell me the house isn't falling down," she said. "It probably isn't." "Probably?" You asked for reassurance, not dishonesty. She sent me a photograph, and I told her it looked like ordinary settling. Then I asked whether she still wanted me to come over. No, she said. The no bothered me for the rest of the day. That was how I learned my new manners were not automatically virtue. I had to let people decline the help I had always used to enter their lives. Paul and Adrian did not reunite. They met for coffee, then dinner, then stopped speaking for 3 weeks after arguing about whether dinner had been a date. Paul called me afterward. Do you want advice? I asked. No. Do you want me to agree with you? Not if you say it like that. Do you want me to tell you Adrian is unreasonable? He isn't. Then what do you want? I wanted to call my father. I sat down. All right, I said. We talked for an hour. By spring, Paul and Adrian had found something that was neither marriage nor war. Adrian returned the lamp. Paul kept the vacuum. They occasionally had dinner without calling it anything. That seemed wiser than most labels available to them. Rachel and I remained careful. She stopped organizing Sunday dinners. For several weeks, nobody did. Then Dana invited us to their house with a message that said, Chili, Sunday, 6. Come if you want. No agenda. All 5 of us came. Adrian arrived separately with cornbread. Rachel's chili was too salty. I drank 2 glasses of water and said nothing until she caught me looking at the pot. It's salty, she said. Yes. You can say it. I assumed you knew. See? Now that sounds worse. There is no safe answer. That must be hard for you. It is. Dana laughed so suddenly she dropped her spoon. The evening did not become a reconciliation. Paul left early. Adrian stayed and helped Dana wash dishes, which Paul noticed. Rachel accused him of making a face. Paul said he was allowed to have a face. Elaine began to explain what Rachel meant, stopped herself, and ate more chili. We all survived. The striped candle Kelsey had given Elaine moved from her purse to the kitchen junk drawer. I found it among batteries, takeout menus, and 3 keys nobody could identify. Keeping this? I asked. Yes. For what? You know. Planning a birthday is dangerous in this family. Then plan your own. I had never done that. My birthdays had always been assembled around me by women who knew what I liked or believed they did. My mother, then Elaine, then Rachel. I arrived at a familiar table, expressed surprise at familiar food, and accepted gifts I had often helped select. The closer 69 came, the more often Elaine asked what I wanted. Finally, I told her, dinner here? Who? I'll ask. What food? I don't know. Cake? I don't know. I see why the women took over. I called Paul and invited him for 6. He said yes, without checking whether Adrian was coming. I called Adrian separately. He asked whether Paul knew. Paul knows he's invited, I said. You decide whether you want to come. He came. I invited Dana, who said she would bring dinner because she did not trust Elaine's chicken. I heard that, Elaine called from across the room. It was intended for you, Dana said. June planned to call after dinner. The Hoffmans sent another card. Kelsey informed me that if I wanted pie, I knew where adults went for birthdays. Rachel and I had spoken twice that week, both times about other things. I had not invited her. It was not punishment, though I knew that was not entirely true. I wanted her there. I also wanted her to ask whether there was still a place for her, which came uncomfortably close to making her pass a test. I called on the afternoon of my birthday. The call went to voicemail. Hi, I said after the tone. Dinner is at 6. I should have asked sooner. I'd like you to come. I hung up without explaining the delay. At 4:30, the doorbell rang. Rachel stood on the porch holding a cake. It leaned visibly to the left. Chocolate frosting had been applied with the enthusiasm of someone repairing a roof in bad weather. One side read, Happy Birth, and the remaining day Dad curved around the back because she had run out of room. Her hair was tied in a loose knot. She wore jeans and an old gray sweater, no raincoat, no armor. I made this, she said. I can tell. That came out insulting. I meant, the box has your name on it. She looked down. Rachel Calder had been written on the cardboard in black marker. You thought I meant the cake. The cake also suggests limited commercial involvement. I had to cut the first 2 layers in half because the centers didn't bake. That often indicates the oven temperature. I stopped. Rachel looked at me. I'm sure it tastes good, I said. We both know that isn't guaranteed. No. She shifted the box in her hands. Can I come in? I left you a message. My phone was in the car. That runs in the family. I came before you called, then you already know the answer. No, I don't. I opened the door wider. Rachel remained on the porch. I'm not asking whether the cake can come in, she said. I'm asking whether I'm invited. Yes. Because you want me here? Yes. Not because I'm standing at the door. I called you, after not calling for a week. Rachel. I know, I'm doing it too. I took the cake box from her. It was heavier than expected. We have time before everyone arrives, I said. I was hoping we would. We carried the cake to the kitchen. Elaine was upstairs getting dressed. The table had not been set. Dana was bringing food at 5:30. For once, nobody had prepared the room before the conversation. Rachel sat at the counter. I stayed standing on the other side. I was cruel, she said. There was no preamble. I did not rescue her from the word. I kept saying I wasn't ready to call it that, because if I called it cruel, I couldn't keep thinking of myself as the person who held everybody together. She rubbed frosting from her thumb with a paper towel. Paul gave me a reason, she continued. Mom gave me permission. Dana gave me objections I could ignore. But I wanted the dinner. I wanted one evening where I decided who belonged in the room. I know. No, you know the version where I was overwhelmed. I know you wanted it. Her eyes filled. After the picture got sent, I was more angry that you wouldn't help us fix it than I was sorry we hurt you. I thought if you came to the second dinner, everybody could stop feeling guilty. I ordered another cake before you agreed, because I was still deciding what happened. Yes, I treated your forgiveness like another thing I could organize. Yes. Could you say something besides yes? I'm trying not to interrupt your apology. That's unnerving. I've heard. She looked toward the stairs, then back at me. I decided your feelings were the safest ones to sacrifice, she said, because you never fall apart, because Mom would manage you, because I thought you'd still come fix my cabinet afterward. I sat across from her. I'm sorry, she said, not for the photograph getting sent to you. I'm sorry there was a photograph to send. That was the sentence. I looked at the lopsided cake between us. I made you responsible for people who were mine to love, I said. Your mother, Paul, sometimes myself. You didn't make me hold your birthday without you. No, don't turn your apology into my excuse. I'm not. I'm telling you what I'm sorry for. She nodded. I praised you for carrying weight I shouldn't have placed on you, I said. Then I resented you when you started deciding where everyone stood. I trained you to manage people and acted betrayed when you managed me. I was still wrong. Yes. She took a breath. Can both things be true? She asked. Apparently that's our family slogan now. She laughed and wiped her face. Elaine came into the kitchen. She saw Rachel, saw the cake, and stopped. Happy birthday, she said to me. You already said that this morning. I'm trying to improve last year's average. She looked at Rachel. Are you staying? Rachel looked at me. Yes, I said. She's staying. Dana arrived with roasted chicken, potatoes, and enough bread for 12 people. Paul brought the Otis Redding record in a new sleeve. You kept it dry, I said. I considered spraying it with a hose on the way over. Adrian brought a salad. He and Paul greeted each other with the awkward warmth of men who had once shared a bed and now disagreed about who should stand near the bread. We set the table together. Nobody assigned seats. Elaine chose the chair beside mine after asking whether I wanted her there. I invited you, I said. You invited me 10 months ago. The invitation stands. Dana served dinner. Rachel passed the salt without comment. Paul told a story about the lamp Adrian had returned. Adrian corrected 3 details. Paul let 2 stand. When Rachel brought out the cake, everyone fell silent. This is not a symbolic cake, she said. It's leaning symbolically, Dana said. The layers shifted. The earth moves beneath all of us. Rachel pointed the knife at her. You're on thin ice. There's no ice in cake. I opened my mouth to explain that chilled buttercream would have stabilized the layers. Then I closed it. Elaine saw. She touched my knee beneath the table. Rachel cut the first slice too wide. The knife dragged frosting through the exposed cake and tore one corner away. You need to clean the blade between. I stopped. Everyone looked at me. I almost made it, I said. Paul laughed first, then Adrian. Rachel laughed until she had to put down the knife. The cake tasted better than it looked. The frosting was terrible. Dana raised her phone. Wait, I said. Her hand froze. For 1 second, the old room returned. The match, the drink cart, my chair against the wall. Then I pulled my chair closer to the table and sat beside Elaine. Now, I said. Dana took the picture. This time, when it arrived in the family chat, I was already in it. No one deleted it.